Well, that's the thing. When you bang your heads 1,000 times, all your memory is gone. I don't know. I don't know if I remember it. And nah, man, Strick is my. Well, I mean, seriously. Um, I worked with John more than anybody, and we came in together as freshmen. We left. We left our seniors together. We progressed up the ladder. John played a little bit earlier than I did, but we both kind of progressed. We would battle each other on the scout team, and then we kind of disappeared from each other once we actually started playing. So yeah, John, a lot of memories with John.
He will join me in the 8 o'clock. He'll join me in.
Actually, Bill, it doesn't even feel it feels weird calling him John because I only call him Strick. Maybe this is the most I've ever called him John. So I'm gonna have to refer to him as Strick, please, sir.
All right, that Strick will join us. Join me. He and Preston, we're going to have John Strickland back in studio probably the next week or two when Preston's here. Let them really get into it and laugh about some of their memories. But he will join me. He will join me in studio later on this morning, and we'll get his take. Yesterday we got Perry Orth's take, and you know what? What I should have asked Jen to do is pull that opening of Perry Orth answering the question that Preston wanted me to have. Wanted me to ask Perry Orth about calling his own number if he ever felt to do it. He said he did it once in high school, Preston. He said he did it once in high school, and that was the last time he did it. He said that he said he thought about doing it. He said there were times in college under Steve Spurrier. He thought maybe better. He thought maybe he should do it, but he said with Spurrier standing over there, he was going to stick with Spurrier and trust that because I think he felt he would have been sent basically away from the locker room after the game.
Yeah, I could imagine Perry Orth saying, "Oh, the best ball caller ever in the history of college football. Let me do what I want."
So we'll do it. Let's just start with that a little bit this morning. And I mean, because we haven't really, we've discussed that we will get into Shane Beamer and the audio from yesterday, and we'll get into some of that later on this morning and let you listen to what Shane Beamer had to say. But we've kind of put a wrap on the Missouri game. We've recapped that now for roughly 6 hours. We have not recapped or really gotten into the Clemson game, and not that we covered a whole lot, but Preston, it is a unique situation on many different levels when the head coach basically comes out and calls out his starting quarterback, says, yeah, he went rogue. He went rogue. He ran his own play, decided that was the best decision for him.
Yeah, I can't say that I've seen this, so I'm assuming that this happens on occasion, but I can't say that I've ever heard a head coach come out and basically just lay bare the truth of what happened because it was backed up by what Cade said. Cade essentially admitted, not essentially, he admitted to it, and it's a really strange situation. But I think Dabo was doing a little bit of CYA in here because earlier in the season they had another situation where there was an RPO called and Cade threw the pass instead of just running the ball. So I think maybe Dabo was trying to say, nah, man, this was strictly a run call.
Is it the best look to come out? Is this the coach's responsibility to protect his player in this situation and just say, yeah, that was the play call, it's what it is, and quietly handle it? Or do you like the public calling out? Because, look, it is, I mean, this is Cade Klubnik went rogue. He went on his own. And I can understand both sides of it. I can understand if you want to say, hey, no, he should have most definitely protected his guy. Just said, nope, bad play call. We'll get it fixed. I can also understand flat out calling him out because you're the coach. He's the player. It's his responsibility to do what he's told, right?
This is a tough one, Bill. This is a tough one. After even speaking about it, my first instinct is to make the coach protect the player. That's my first instinct. But honestly, if this is something that has happened before, or maybe this is something you want to nip in the bud so that it never happens again, maybe this is just used as a teaching tool. That is a tough situation.
So what in this situation, do you side with Dabo on this and say, I understand what you're doing? I get it.
I do. I get it. I do get it. I don't know if that's the tact I would have taken, but I get it, man, because he ran a totally different play than what was designed. And not only did he run a different play, but he called his own numbers.
Right.
That's what makes it the worst out of anything. Maybe if he audibles out and he feels like, man, you know what? They were going to give the ball to me. but I think Will Shipley has a better opportunity because our offensive line has been blocking and this play has been working all week, and this is what I want to run. I have faith in my teammates. But if you decide to call your own number, you have to get called out.
Well, or you have to get closer to the goal line, right? Like you can't. I mean, because that's the other part. If he gets, say, to the 1 inch line, and it just there's a kind of a freak play, and he doesn't get in, then you kind of go, okay, maybe he saw something as a quarterback. Maybe he figured something out. When you basically get dragged down, 3, 4, 5 yards away from the goal, and you don't get positive yardage, I don't know if that makes it any better. Does it make it any better if you at least get to the 1 inch line, or you're fighting and maybe you could have gotten in if you just gotten a push?
Yeah, well, I mean, hindsight is going to be, well, if he scores, then maybe we just laugh about it and it's a joke. And the legend of Cade Kubiak grows because he called his own number on the goal line, maybe. But what happened was, and if you watch the play, I know exactly what he saw. He saw the DN crash down, and he thought that it was going to be open because that's how they read the RPO. It wasn't an RPO, as Dabo said. But what he didn't account for was the linebacker who was scraping over the top and who apparently was way faster than he thought he was, because if you look, as soon as he pulls, it looks like it's there, and then Cade gets run down very quickly. So, nah, man, you just can't do that. That's something. That's the equivalent of that on defense is like, oh, I'm a blitz now because I think I have an opening when the coach hasn't called it. It's like, what? Nah, man, you can't do that.
The other two parts to this that are, I say funny, they're funny because it's not my team. But right after the game, Preston, if you saw it, there's a shot of Dabo Swinney. I don't know who he was going to. I don't know if he was going to Garrett Riley. I don't know who is on the other side. But you see him pull his hat off and his hands kind of become extended. I thought at the time as I was watching it Saturday night, I thought he was doing it kind of like, what kind of play call was that? What are you doing? Why are you calling that play? Only to then learn that he was basically asking, what is he doing? What is our player doing? Why is he not listening to this? The other kind of part to that is, if you watch the reaction, give credit to Will Shipley. He kind of follows through on the play, but as soon as he bounces out to his right, he turns around to look at Klubnik like, hey, I'm the one that's supposed to have the football, not you. What's going on here?
You're right. All credit due to Will Shipley because he did carry out what I guess was the fate, and he kept playing. But I see, Bill, this is where you really want to get into the details of this, because I wonder if Cade Kubiak, as soon as the play came in, he's like, "Oh no, I'm keeping this." Was it a read? Did he look back there and see Will Shipley? He's like, "No, I'm faster than Will. I can score this." Well, I need to know the thought process that was going through his mind, because this is an outrageous offense. Actually, we can't even underestimate. It's double overtime. Your team is going in to tie the game, and you just decide, nah, I think I'm going to call my own play. Legendary for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I do want to get into this a little bit. We'll break that down for a second. Like I said, we'll get into what Shane Beamer had to say yesterday. I also want to go a little bit more in depth today, big picture college football. What in the world has been going on at Michigan? I mean, this is becoming more bizarre almost by the day with people bringing stuff out. I don't know. I truly don't know how, even though this is a analyst, Connor Stallions, that we've talked about, this has to fall back on Jim Harbaugh, Preston. And when it falls back on Jim Harbaugh, who already has recruiting violations that we're waiting for a suspension for him to be, this has to be the end of Jim Harbaugh as we know it at Michigan. And I want to get into that a little bit more. There's also some interesting stats that have popped up in regards to how Michigan has performed since Connor Stallions really allegedly started orchestrating this whole scheme to steal signs. We'll get into that as well. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us. Preston down in Myrtle Beach. I'll be down there tomorrow at Grand Strand Nissan from 1 to 3. Be hanging out with the Heisman Trophy. You can come by Grand Strand Nissan in Myrtle Beach tomorrow. You can come by, say hello. You can take a picture with the Heisman Trophy, and if you want, you can take a picture with me, I reckon, as well. So we are all over the state. That's what we do. Welcome in Florence, as always, 100.5, Myrtle Beach, 100.3. the game down there. And, of course, as always, right here in the Midlands, 107.5 The Game. We'll come back. We'll get into a little bit of that. We'll stay on a little bit of Clemson, and we'll get into this sign-stealing gate from Michigan. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Here's what's coming up on The Game.
The Shane Beamer Weekly Presser, sponsored by Pete Alewine Pools and Spas. Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5. The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Second night in a row. That's right. Cut the heat on. I had it way down. Heat was cut on about 68, so it had to get kind of chilly in the house. But that's probably where we're heading the rest of the year. The heat will be on at the Gunner household. It will make sure that during the night, I don't get too frosty. And you know what? Sooner or later, it's going to be exactly like that. But right now, AAA Heating and Air is wanting to make sure our senior citizens are taken care of. Their heating and air units are working properly. So if you're 62 years of age or older, or if you have a relative or parent that's 62 years of age or older, call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500, and get a complimentary heating unit checkup. That's right, complimentary heating unit checkup. AAA Heating and Air wants to make sure those heating systems are working properly this winter, so when you click it on, it does its job. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them you heard it right here on 107.5 The Game with Bill Gunner.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Discover Herndon Certified. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence, knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
Hey, this is Terry Ford with 107.5
Whoa,
The Game.
whoa. You're not Terry Ford from 107.5 The Game. Are you even looking at the script, Brian
okay,
Glenn?
my bad. You go.
And first of all, you don't want to be Terry Ford from 107.5 The Game.
Fair enough.
Okay, who are you?
This is Brian Glenn with Village Idiot Pizza. At the Village Idiot, we're proud to offer 3 locally owned Columbia locations serving fresh New York-style pizza for over 30 years. Join us for a game or just to hang with friends. Pizza, wings, and cold beer are the best way to come together and celebrate life. Don't be an idiot. Eat local with the Village Idiot.
Must text entitled with approved credit card. 832-6359 for details. Never before and maybe never again. South Carolina's Kia Giant. JT's Kia goes where no Kia dealer has gone before. Save thousands off new Kias. Save thousands in interest. 3.75% Telluride Sorrento's Carnivals. Get 20% more for your trade. Up to $6,000 more. No payments till next year. And never ever pay more than sticker. South Carolina's Kia Giant. JT'sKia.com.
Hi, I'm Glenn Matthews,
And I'm Melanie Matthews.
and we are the third-generation owners of Modern Exterminating Company.
In a time when corporate consolidation, high-pressure door knockers, and inexperienced startups are becoming the norm, isn't it nice to have an experienced, local, family-owned company that you can count on since 1955?
Modern Exterminating has been the local, independent industry leader in the pest control business for the last 67 years. Experience the local, family-owned difference for yourself at 803-765-2315 or pestfreesc.com.
Hello and welcome to The Kroger Show. At Kroger, everyone wins when it comes to saving big. Because when you order online through the Kroger app, you get the same great prices, deals, and rewards on pickup or delivery that you do in-store with no hidden fees or markups. So no matter how you shop, you'll always save big at Kroger. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Right now, save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up. Select varieties are just $3.99 each with your card and digital coupon. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Bill Gunner, my great friend, Dr. Dan Balknight with the Men's Clinic. The Men's Clinic is a local clinic with a well-respected physician in Dr. Balknight that will oversee your health care. It's not like programs you see online. This will be tailored to your individual needs. So contact the Men's Clinic today, 803-875-MENS. Again, that's 803-875-MENS, or you can visit them on the web and learn more. mensclinicsc.com.
Pete Alewine Pool and Spa is your hometown hot tub dealer where sales and service go hand in hand. If you've been thinking about buying a hot tub, come check out our full line of hot tubs and explore the benefits of hydrotherapy, which includes stress relief and increased blood flow and promotes overall health and well-being. Models start as low as $5,000. Pete Alewine Pool and Spa, 5541 Sunset Boulevard. You'll find us on Facebook or online at PeteAlewinepools.com.
As a family member or friend, You may be the first to notice when a veteran you love has been going through changes. Things like withdrawing, drinking more, or increased anger could be
1075 The Game traffic, sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring statewide with huge pay raises. Correctional officers can now make $50,000 plus in their first year. Officers must be at least 18 years of age. Visit joinscdc.com to apply.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic on 107.5 The Game.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter.
Former Gamecock Preston Thorne.
And Jen Jensen, your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
$6:19 on a Wednesday morning as we get you up, get you out the door, halfway through the week. Some college football last night. Liberty, 42-29 victory over Western Kentucky. That one was actually kind of entertaining. I don't know how many people really cared at all about New Mexico State, Louisiana Tech, New Mexico State 27-24. More importantly, last night, Major League Baseball, congratulations, Christian Walker, former Gamecock. The Arizona Diamondbacks finish off the Philadelphia Phillies. I know that makes a lot of you very happy. I know Jay Phillips and Dakota Walker yesterday, or Dakota Watson, not Dakota Walker. Dakota Walker is the former defensive end for South Carolina. Dakota Watson, very thrilled that the Phillies were knocked out. So we'll get the Arizona Diamondbacks, led by Christian Walker. I think that's the best way to describe them. And we'll get the Texas Rangers, led by former Gamecock Jordan Montgomery, in the World Series. So we'll have a little bit of Gamecock connection to the World Series starting this coming weekend. It should be a lot of fun. First matchup Friday night in Texas, 8:03, first pitch time on Fox. We'll talk more about that later on during the show as well. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines, Preston, where David wants to weigh in this morning. David's got two questions. What are your questions this morning, David?
Good morning. The first question I have is, with all the injuries that we've had, is there a chance for another common denominator other than the cleats that they're wearing? And the second question I have is, I didn't play college ball, but in high school I saw guys that practiced very, very well, and then they couldn't carry it over to game time. And then on the other hand, there were guys that didn't practice well, but when they got a chance to go under the lights, they completely balled out. I was wondering if Preston saw that in college. Appreciate what y'all do, and I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you.
Yeah, Preston, I tell you what, real quick on the cleat question. You know, I think that's ever since Connor Shaw years ago kind of, I think, put something out on Twitter or something. I think everybody's looked at the cleats for South Carolina and wondered the apparel, I guess, but more so the cleats. Ja'Kai Moore has an upper body injury. Xavier Legette has an upper body injury. Preston, I'm trying to think of all the other injuries. I think maybe Vershawn Lee has an upper body injury. There's been some knee injuries. I don't blame the cleats as much. Now, Juice Wells might be a little bit different, broken foot, right? But I don't know if cleats affect the knees and shoulders quite as much as ankles, twisted ankles, or like Amarion Brown's got a hamstring. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a common denominator, and to that point, no, I don't think it's the cleats. There's a couple common denominators. One, they're all in the same strength program, so I think that has to be examined. And two, they all are on the same practice schedule, so they have to be examined as far as maybe how physical the practice are or what they're actually doing within practice. I think those are the two indicators to me that might be preventative as far as injuries are concerned.
And then his other part of his question about guys who either practiced well and didn't play well, or guys that were awful practice players, but when the lights came on, knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, so I do have the instance of that where somebody was adept in practice, where they made plays in practice, and then it didn't quite translate into the game. Excuse me. I have seen that. But the second part, I don't know of anybody who did not practice well and ended up just turning it on in the game. Now, they might not have practiced hard, or they may not have been very interested in practice. That's a different story. But everybody I know who made plays on Saturday would make them during the week. Does that make sense, Bill?
Yeah, I've heard this, because I feel like, this is years ago. I feel like it was Lou Holtz, and your play was based on how you practiced. What you did. What I always heard was Steve Spurrier was more of one of those guys who felt like, you know what, if you're a good player, as long as you know the plays and as long as you're not completely goofing off in practice. He did get upset one time because I think it was Jadeveon Clowney and Bruce Ellington, and I want to say one other player, and I can't remember who it was, were kind of sitting out practices early in preseason. They were taking the veterans approach, if you will, to NFL preseason camp. And finally it was Spurrier whose message had to go through the media of, if those guys don't practice soon, they're not going to play in the first game. And lo and behold, somehow they appeared in uniform, ready to go at the very next practice. But I always had kind of heard Spurrier was one of those guys that maybe even if you didn't have the best practices, he was going to give you a chance to play because he thought there were just people that were gamers. When the lights came on, they just made the plays.
Yeah, and there is something to that. But my caveat would be, if Jadeveon Clowney wanted to practice, I'm sure he would make a bunch of plays in practice. He just didn't want to.
Right.
There's not going to be guys who are, who are not making any plays in practice. They're trying as hard as they can, and then all of a sudden, when the lights come on, they start making plays. That's not how it works. My best example of this is Squeaky. Derek Watson. He was one of the hardest practice players you would ever find. There was no difference between Derek Watson throughout the week and what he did on Saturday. Now, getting him from the week to Saturday was maybe the challenge, but as far as in practice, nobody practiced harder this week.
And there is a correlation. Now, I think the other question as it pertains to injuries, Preston, because to me, the non-football player of the group, to me, if you had hard practices, if you have hard physical practices, and again, you talk about a complete 180 from Lou Holtz to Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier was a guy who had, from what I understand, there would be certain hard practices. They weren't all country club style practices, but Steve Spurrier was known as more of a let's take it easy, let's get our work in, but let's keep guys from getting injured. Whereas Lou Holtz, you guys went out there and from day one, it was, all right, let's see how as physical and as rough as and tumble as we could make it. So you were part of physical practices. Do you think that helped you help players stay away from injury?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I believe in this. This is not science. This is maybe gross science or something like that. But I believe you build up a sort of armor or a callus on your body to certain hits and being able to take those certain hits. The trade-off, though, is, Bill, what happens to us typically towards the end of the season.
Okay. But and I agree with that. And that's where the difference comes. But I guess my point is, when you say you build up a callus, because this is a good point. I've thought, and I may be wrong on this, I've thought that Shane Beamer, his preseason practices mirrored more of the Steve Spurrier practices, in that they weren't quite as physical, that he kind of protected players. Steve Spurrier was, I've talked to a lot of people. I think Heath Klein also would mention this a lot. But at Florida, Steve Spurrier would basically have a very relaxed preseason. But that's because, A, his Florida teams were so good, and B, they would essentially, if you go back and you look at a lot of his schedules, would have a directional Michigan and a directional Louisiana school to start the season before they played Tennessee. So he basically had 8 quarters to kind of warm his team up with scrimmages essentially before they would then go play Tennessee in week 3 or week 4. And Preston, I do wonder about that with Shane Beamer. Do you think they should skew? Maybe, again, I'm sure Shane thinks they're physical enough. There was a lot of injuries in the preseason here, but is that something that you have to reevaluate?
Well, as I think you mentioned the first part with Steve Spurrier. A lot of times you may need to evaluate the talent on the team and also how old is the team. If the team is a veteran team, then you know that they can play themselves into that space. But if for this particular team, we're coming into the season with a lot of young offensive linemen, a lot of young guys in key positions such as linebackers, you may need to beat those guys up just to see if they can make it through the physical test, the physical cauldron that's going to be the SEC football. They're not going to be able to learn on the job. So there's trade-offs, and every coach has to evaluate their teams, and there may be different philosophies every year. But I'm a loophole disciple, so I do believe there is a certain benefit to being a little bit tougher early in the season and building up that sort of armor towards injuries, especially when you talk about contact injuries.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in this morning if you want to be a part of the program. We'll come back. We'll get back in to the Michigan situation. Oh, boy, that's getting very entertaining. We'll tell you all about it. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, Bill Gunner. It's the early game.
The game will be at the beach, in the PD, and the Midlands. That almost covers the whole Palmetto State. In Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
How does Taco Bell not have a breakfast taco? Like, duh. But now the all-new toasted breakfast taco is here with fluffy eggs, melty cheese, and savory sausage. Rewards members get one free every Tuesday till October 31st. Only on the app at participating Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours while supplies last.
Text entitled with approved credit card. 832-6359 for details. Never before and maybe never again. South Carolina's Kia Giant. JT's Kia goes where no Kia dealer has gone before. Save thousands off new Kias. Save thousands in interest. 3.75% Telluride Sorrento's Carnivals. Get 20% more for your trade. Up to $6,000 more. No payments till next year. And never ever pay more than sticker. South Carolina's Kia Giant. JT'sKia.com.
There's no better place to be on a fall Saturday than at Williams-Brice Stadium. Secure your tickets today to catch a game this fall. Visit thegamecockclub.com for more information. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com.
When it comes to furnishing your home, trust the experts at Scott's Furniture. With over 51 years of experience, Scott's has been making houses feel like home. And now, with their exciting sale collection, there's never been a better time to shop. Scott's has a wide selection of new merchandise available with mattresses 50% off. Scott's will even pay the sales tax on any purchase as a thank you to their...
Yeah, just as long as you give me a little heads up because I have to open it up differently.
Furniture, make your house into a home. Find them at 705 North Lake Drive in Lexington, or conveniently shop online at scottsfurniture.com.
Every day, you breathe in thousands of microscopic germs, allergens, and viruses. Don't let these invisible invaders make breathing through your nose impossible. Flush them out with Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril around the back of the nose and out the other nostril, helping flush out all the nasty things that make you miserable. Nearly 4 million people use Navage to breathe better, snore less, and feel healthier. People like Cindy, a verified Navage user who writes, I've had such I bought Navage and OMG, I can breathe again. I love this thing. Goodbye, neti pot. Hello, Navage. End quote. If you suffer from sinus congestion, allergies, or snoring, then Navage is the safe, drug-free solution you've been looking for. Navage is at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and Navage.com. Navage. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
For the second year in a row, U.S. News and World Report has named Lexington Medical Center the best hospital in the Columbia metro region. We're proud to be the #1 hospital in the Midlands and the #2 hospital in the state. We're giving our best to care for you.
Plus text entitled with proof credit card 866-243-4643 for details. Never before and maybe never again. South Carolina's truck giant Dodgeland on Greystone is taking up to $12,000 off new Rams. Quad cab, crew cab, heavy duty. Big trucks, big savings. And where can you get up to 20% more for your trade? South Carolina's truck giant, up to $6,000 more. Don't wait. This has never happened before and maybe will never happen again. 12 grand off new Rams at Dodgeland on Greystone. JT'sDodge.com.
Pete Wine Pool and Spa is your hometown hot tub dealer where sales and service go hand in hand. If you've been thinking about buying a hot tub, come check out our full line of hot tubs and explore the benefits of hydrotherapy, which includes stress relief and increased blood flow and promotes overall health and well-being. Models start as low as $5,000. Pete Wine Pool and Spa, 5541 Sunset Boulevard. You'll find us on Facebook or online at PeteLWinePools.com.
107.5 The Game On Demand podcast menu.
Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner.
On the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic. Sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring statewide with huge pay raises. Correctional officers can now make $50,000 plus in their first year. Officers must be at least 18 years of age. Visit joinscdc.com to apply.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic on 107.5 The Game.
We do have a report of an accident, I-26 westbound there at exit 97. We have an accident with injuries, so that's going to take a bit to get cleaned up. Also, I-26 eastbound at St. Andrews Road, an accident there. So be careful if you're approaching either of those areas. 79 for the high today under sunny skies, and then really we're going to be in the 80s through Monday. 80 tomorrow, 82 on Friday, and that continues, like I said, up to 85 on Monday. Right now, though, it's kind of a cooler start. Want to bundle up a bit. 48 on the early game. You want that straight in?
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
I mean, everyone's trying to get an edge. I mean, everyone's trying to get whatever edge they can. You could have someone's whole game plan. They can mail it to you. You still got to stop it. So in football, it's not as pronounced as baseball. If I know a curveball is coming, I got you. You know, with football, I don't give a darn if you know a sweep is coming. You still got to stop it. Physically, it's a physical game. You got to stop it. So that's a little tough. I don't buy into a lot of this stuff that someone's stealing this, stealing that. I don't buy into a lot of this. You still got to play the game. Back in our glory days with San Francisco as well as the Cowboys, you know darn well Emmitt Smith is getting the ball. You know darn well Mike Irvin is running the comeback. You know darn well Jay Novacek is going to do what he's going to do, and you couldn't stop it. It is what it is.
What do you think, Preston Thorne? I mean, there's a lot of stories. I don't know how to take this story from Michigan. I think the story here is more about Connor Stallions purchasing tickets to the 2021 and 2022 SEC title games. You know, it's is sign stealing. I mean, it's attempted, right? Eric, there's always the story of Eric Henry being able to figure out signs in one game that y'all played in and standing next to Charlie Strong, I think, and being able to decipher. I want to say it was a Clemson game. Do you remember this?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely was a Clemson game. I believe it was the 0-1 game where it won. It was a very key play for sure.
You've played, you've coached. I mean, what is your take on sign? You heard that's Deion Sanders, by the way, that we just played. If you didn't know, yeah, he's to me, he's right. You may know the play, you physically still have to stop it.
This is where fans get really frustrated. You remember, I think it was Bowden from Kentucky when they just ran the same quarterback draw every time, and everybody knew exactly what play they was going to run. You remember that?
Yeah, the Wildcat formation. He was even trying to tap it. It wasn't Bowden. It was JoJo Kemp back in 2014. He was even tapping himself on the head to come out. And Mark Stoops and the Kentucky coaches went, no, you back in there. We're running the same play. Get back in there. Alabama did the same thing in 2009, I believe, in Tuscaloosa. Late in the game, Alabama was up 13-6 on South Carolina. I say late in the game. It was early fourth quarter. But Alabama lined up. Just Nick Saban just lined up Mark Ingram and the Wildcat, and they just snapped it to him. And Ingram basically put himself as a Heisman front runner that night. But they snapped it to Mark Ingram, and he would run over the left side the entire time, ran down the field. He finished with 246 yards rushing and won the game, scored, and they went up 20-6 and won the game. But you're right. Like those two plays, everybody in the building knew what was about to happen.
Yeah, so that's one part of that aspect, and I think Dion is 100% correct on that idea, is that you can know what's going to happen. You can have it pointed out. You can know who's getting the ball, and they still get it, and they still complete it because they're just that much more better than you, or they're more well coached than you, and they can just execute you. You've seen that throughout history. The Packers sweep or whatever play was running. You know that he's getting the ball. Everybody knew that Luther Burton was going to get the ball in the slot deep down the field at some point. They could have told us probably, and it probably wouldn't have mattered. So that is one aspect, and I do agree with a lot of the folks that are taking that angle. However, this before we get to how ridiculous this story is, I think it's kind of two separate questions. So just to stay there, but we can't say that it doesn't give you a little bit. It's for instance, and I'm not saying, Bill, you've ever done this. Then I don't know who's ever done this, but let's just say you go to class and maybe you have a test that day, and maybe you just get a little bit of ink on your fingers or your wrist or, whatever trick you try and pull in. You didn't put the whole test on your paper, but just, just maybe a few keywords, a date here or there. It's not going to let you pass the whole test, but it will give you a little bit more of an advantage than you had.
I really am not sure what you're talking about.
I figured that.
No, and I never wrote any answers in the back of a Bible. That's a whole other story.
Back of a Bible?
We actually at Butler had a Bible class, and the instructor he was a strange dude, and none of us learned. And literally, it felt so sacrilegious. We all cheated desperately because you couldn't follow we ended up reporting him because he was just so terrible. But you just felt like, wow, this isn't good if I'm putting answers in a Bible. That's not good.
Listen.
Even though I know that the answers are all
Here's
there
what I now
in
know. When
reality.
we walk outside, I'm not standing next to you.
Right?
I'm not
We all
taking a
felt that
chance
way.
that lightning hits two of us.
Isn't that terrible?
Bill, you've already made it this long. I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's everybody has maybe done some things or whatever, but it doesn't mean that you're going to pass the test. It might just give you an advantage of what's happening. It does. I don't know if Bill, as Twitter has done, the internet sleuths and find everything. There's a video where Connor is standing next to the defensive coordinator against Ohio State. Did you see this video?
I did.
Yeah, and he's up there dead set on what Ohio State's doing. As soon as Ohio State makes an adjustment, Connor makes an adjustment. As soon as they do something, Connor talks to the DC. When the DC hears it, he talks to his defense. So, to say that it's not nothing, I don't know if we can do that.
The thing with that play, I think if we're referring to the same play, it's kind of from the Michigan, the Ohio State sideline looking at the Michigan sideline, and the play that you're referring to, though, if we're talking about the same one, they end up not getting pressure on the quarterback, though. Like if they had the sign. Now, real quick, funny element. I don't know if you saw this last night because it was post game. Jamie Chadwell at Liberty had enough time to beat Western Kentucky, and there is a screenshot last night of their game, and in the Liberty section, there's there's 5 fans. I'm looking at it now. There's a grandma, and it looks like maybe a grandchild next to her, and then 2 guys. And in the dead middle of it, Preston, Liberty, Western Kentucky last night, a guy in a yellow, a maize, I guess, pullover with a Michigan hat sitting next to his wife, who's got a Michigan hat and a Michigan jacket. Jamie Chadwell last night wins Twitter with his tweet that it says, "Is it me, or is it that there are Michigan fans on the 50-yard line tonight to see the Flames?"
Touche. Good job, Coach Chadwell. We appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that is the whole operation is, and like I said, this is a different object. I think we should definitely devote some time to the operation that allegedly, make sure we say that. But you know, everybody has to be asked questions. Now, you guys, there's always been scandals in college football about, you know, getting information. Obviously, our head coach was involved in the scandal. I don't know if you remember that, about potentially getting some information about what a team might do. This is not new. However, just because it's not new doesn't mean it shouldn't be adjudicated upon.
Well, the other part of this, and like you said, we'll get into it in the next segment, is the fact I don't think it's the sign stealing is not the issue, right? That's not the issue. It is the issue of how this went about purchasing tickets for games and sending. It says a network. I don't know what number we start defining a network of, because this says a network of 3. Like it says a network of at least 3 people who were afforded the tickets to attend games. A source told ESPN on Tuesday the NCAA has been sent at least an hour of video evidence that shows a person sitting in a seat appearing to video the home sideline with a smartphone. Stallions purchased the ticket for that seat. That is directly out of ESPN. We'll get into that. Go ahead.
There's a couple of, so many questions, but I know Stallions was a very low-level staffer, and I don't know how many people are familiar with college football, but they're not making a lot of money. So I don't know if he was coming out of pocket for this. Did he just take his little stipend and just spend it all on Ticketmaster? Why did he purchase in his own name? Have we not figured out some Visa gift cards or something? What is going on with Connor Stallions?
We'll get into this a little bit more. We'll dig into it. We'll continue. We'll get into some Shane Beamer audio as well. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Here's what's coming up on the game.
Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer, live from Backstreet Grill in Columbia, Thursday at 6 p.m.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Signs with CBS Sports Minute. You know, losing coaches often lament the fact that their opponent was more physical than us. So who are the NFL's 5 most physical teams? I do know that everybody's physical, but this is my list and it might surprise you. Starting at number 5, we have the Saints, followed by the 4th-ranked Jets. You knew the Ravens would be here. They're always on a list like this. And, of course, the 49ers. But the most physical team in the NFL right now has to be the Browns. I'm Boomer Science. CBS Sports Radio.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use it directed.
Hey, did you know Vistaprint prints everything a small business needs? Like if a barbershop needs signage, we print outdoor signs, posters, and banners. Or if a ballet school needs merch, we print tote bags, t-shirts, hoodies, hats. Or if a coffee shop needs a total refresh, Vistaprint designs logos and prints it on menus, mugs, paper bags, anything. Because with Vistaprint, the printabilities are endless. Print it all with 25% off for new customers with code NEW25 at Vistaprint.com.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Snakes, rodents, and mold all live and grow beneath your home and eventually will find their way inside. Canty Foundation Specialist is your local trusted expert in crawl space sealing. Call us today for a free estimate.
Canty can fix it.
Moisture and high humidity in your crawl space create an environment for mold and mildew and affect the air you breathe inside your home. Call Canty for a free inspection today at 753-1495 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
To some, this might sound like a typical family dog. But at Dog Chow, we know that for a veteran suffering from PTSD, this could be the sound of life-saving therapy.
Thanks, Betty.
That's why we've made it our mission to connect every military hero in need with a canine hero of their own. To learn about the simple ways you can help Dog Chow in our mission, visit dogchow.com/veterans.
Sponsored by Purina.
I'm Ebony Loren, and Febrez's new scent, Soothe and Restore, is so good I wrote a song about it.
I know just what I do. Febreze has my favorite scent. Makes the perfect environment. Sweet like sugar, smooth shea butter. What could be better than being with each other now? Breathe happy for free. La, 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 la.
Early game.
With Bill Gunter, former Gamecock Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
.648. It is a Wednesday morning. Traffic picking up out on Gervais Street. Hope you're doing well out there. Again, reminder, I'll be down in Myrtle Beach tomorrow. If you're in the Grand Strand area, I'll be at Grand Strand Nissan tomorrow, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. with the Heisman Trophy. You can come by and hang out, courtesy of 100.3 The Game down in Myrtle Beach. And you can come by, take a picture with the Heisman Trophy, check out some great vehicles down there in Myrtle Beach, and stop by and see me. So we'll be hanging out down there tomorrow tomorrow afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. Stop by if you're in the Myrtle Beach area. 803-404-6100, how you can reach out to us this morning. So, Preston, one thing that I'll read to you is this stat. Now, mind you, Preston, a lot of this is coming from Ohio State. Matt Baxendale is a writer for Bucknuts 247. He also writes for Bucket of Bullets and all kinds of other Ohio State little blogs and stuff. Anyway, he points out Harbaugh, prior to hiring Colin Stallions, 49-22. Now, it's Ohio State beat writer, so mind you, he's going to be a tad dramatic, right? A little tad dramatic. 49-22. According to Baxendale, he says Harbaugh starts a monster operation stealing signs and is 30-3 with 2 victories over Ohio State since. And he does go again a tad dramatic. He says not hard to connect the dots. Then he points out both OSU games were close at half. Michigan blowouts in the second half. Wonder how that happened. The dramatic tweet by Baxendale.
Yeah, he's kind of nuts.
Yesterday, yeah, little buck nutty.
Yeah,
little buck nutty on that. But the records are what's interesting to me. Not that Baxendale is connecting Ohio State, Michigan, and the games. The fact that the first half was close, the second half was not. But do you, Preston Thorne, read anything into that record change, or is Harbaugh? Harbaugh was a pretty good coach at Stanford. Seemed to know a thing or two in San Francisco during his time there. So, he seems like a decent coach.
Hold on a second, Bill. Let me remove my tinfoil hat so I can get clear communication, so that I can make sure I'm hearing everything correct. This is why the conspiracy theorists are always kind of right, because somebody is usually doing something a little bit sneaky. I don't know. I don't buy into it because I watched those 2 games, and Michigan dominated those guys physically in those 2 games. It wasn't as if they made some sneaky play or things of that nature. They just lined up and basically ran the ball down Ohio State's throat for the past 2 years. And so that's what they've done. So I don't buy that. However, if you're Ohio State, it is sort of comforting to realize, like, hey, maybe the reason why we lost is because these guys were stealing our signs. That's why. It's not because we're not physical. It's not because Ryan Day is a very thin-skinned, beard-dying coach. That has nothing to do with it. It's just that they were stealing our signs. That's why we lost, Bill.
Yeah. Ryan Day, poster boy for Hair Club for Men there, getting the nice dark looks there. So to the other point of this is what does appear to be the operation, Preston Thorne, of this is where the true I guess violation would come is, and it is what the true violation is, actually, to be honest. There's no rule against standing on the sideline or in the press box during your game, during South Carolina's game against Clemson or Georgia or whomever, and stealing signs. There's no rules against that. There's no rules in Major League Baseball where this guy standing on second base is not trying to look into look at the catcher and figure out what sign he might be able to pick out and let his batter know. There's no rule against that. There is rules against banging drums and electronic communication under the jersey. But how do you read into this with sending operatives? I feel like we should make this more of a Jack Ryan kind of, sophisticated or crime organization Jim Harbaugh is running, but operatives to opposing teams' games to film their coaches. How do you read into that portion of it? Even if it's helping or not. Even if it's helping or not.
Yeah. So we give these head coaches all of this credit for being the masters of the organization, CEOs or whatever the case. And then when something happens, all of a sudden, none of them know anything. I didn't know what was going on. What was happening? Wow. That can't be the case. Either you're going to be the man or woman and get paid all of that money and be responsible for everything that happens in your organization, or we're just going to act like we don't know the things. It was an operation. Very few people can have that much access to the coaches. Bill, you can't just go stand on the sideline. It's not as if you can be there during game day and do that. I can't do that. So, yes, we know who these people are. They were playing an active role. And to say that, I just didn't know anything, that's unacceptable from a person in that position.
How much does it help, in your opinion, being able to have to record coaches giving their signs? I don't know. I've never been in, you know more about how maybe signs, what was it, a couple years ago, the popular thing was to hold up those play cards, the big old boards that had 4 pictures on. I think it was Oregon who first made that popular. It might have a picture of Taylor Swift. It might have a picture of Michael Jordan. It might have the color blue. Like, let's get more into this. We'll do that. We'll also get into Shane Beamer from yesterday. He'll talk about the goals still available.
Yeah, my favorite statement, Bill. All our goals are still in front of us.
And we need Transfer Portal Tuesday on a Wednesday. Some NFL stats. Preston's got a lot to provide in 1 hour to do it. It's the early game.
Preston here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. They'll come out to you and they'll give you a free quote. So if you're at the job and you can't get off and you can't take off a little bit early, Absolute Glass will come out, set an appointment, they'll take care of it at your job, they'll take care of you, they'll come out to your location and replace it. Usually for free, and they work directly with your insurance to take away the headache. Also, if you're looking to increase the value of your home with new windows and mirrors, Absolute Glass can take care of that too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. I say all the time, if you can see through it, Ray and Mariana, Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet. The lot is packed with inventory and more is on the way. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
How does Taco Bell not have a breakfast taco? Like, duh. But now the all-new toasted breakfast taco is here with fluffy eggs, melty cheese, and savory sausage. Rewards members get one free every Tuesday till October 31st. Only on the app at participating Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours while supplies last.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, where saving is always the name of the game. The lowest price, guaranteed, or they'll pay you $1,000. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads.
Mobile phones, laptops, video games, social media. It's time to unplug, rev up, and get out into the real world on a Honda CRF dirt bike. Honda's family of rugged, reliable CRF trail and dirt bikes are a great way to get out and get connected as a family. From young riders to experienced, they have the Honda dirt bikes in stock and ready to ride. Carolina Honda Powerhouse. Just take exit 70 off I-20 or visit carolinahonda.com. Intended for off-road operation only. Parents need to consider a rider's age, size, ability, and maturity before allowing them to ride.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hostetler Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Don't miss Zerust Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning's thrilling fall sale. Call now and mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game to get 3 rooms cleaned for $129. Or schedule online, ZerustColumbia.com. Zerust, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
1075 The Game traffic. Sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring statewide with huge pay raises. Correctional officers can now make $50,000 plus in their first year. Officers must be at least 18 years of age. Visit joinscdc.com to apply.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic on 1075 The Game.
Taking a peek at those traffic conditions out there this morning. Still working I-26 westbound there at exit 101, also at exit 97. The right lane is blocked at 101, and again, then the accident at 97. So just be careful out there this morning on that stretch of highway. Also, I-26 eastbound at St. Andrews Road, there is an accident reported as well. Sunny today, 79 for the high, and then we are looking at 80 tomorrow, 82 on Friday, and that continues really through Monday. And then by Tuesday, we drop down to more seasonable temperatures of about 66. But a little bit cool right now. It's 48 on the early game.
KZFM, Eastover, Columbia.
Hey, this is DeCarrion Joyner. You're listening to 107.5 The Game, home of the Gamecock.
A Cumulus media station.
The early game.
With Bill Gunter, former Gamecock Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief and the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. That, folks, is Charles Dickens predicting the Gamecock fate on Saturday. A tale of two halves, Bill.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 1075 The Game.
Interesting way to open the program there with a little Charles Dickinson reading for you. So
I'm sorry, who?
What is his last name? I don't know.
Charles Dickens.
Dickens.
Yeah,
it's not Dickinson?
Not Dickens.
No.
Okay, yeah, I don't read.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
The theme of this show. I don't know what happened.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
$7:01 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. And I apologize. To me, this has been one of the longest weeks I feel like I've ever had. I woke up this morning, couldn't believe it was only Wednesday.
But to me, it's like, I can't believe it's already Wednesday. I've not accomplished nearly what I need to.
This is true. I haven't accomplished much either, but it feels like it's been, there's still 2 days to go.
Okay, we still have hope.
Yeah, there's still 2 days to go. So, but we'll get you up, get you through this morning. Those are goals, Preston Thorne. Our goal is to get through the week. 20 years ago, when Preston Thorne was playing college football, how did Lou Holtz assess or create goals? Was it during the preseason? Did goals change during the season? How was South Carolina football in meeting goals, expectations handled under the Lou Holtz regime?
I've only heard goals ever approached one way in all my years of football, and that's the phrase, all our goals are still in front of us. Now, Bill, usually you start using this phrase once you start losing, right? So the goals are set this way. And I think Coach Spurrier even brought it more to life. Our first goal is to go undefeated. So once you lose, you scratch that off. Then our next goal is to win the SEC. And then we're going to win the SEC East. Okay, we're not going to win the SEC East anymore. Then we're going to make a bowl game. We want to make a New Year's Day bowl game. Okay, not happening anymore. We want to make a bowl game. Okay, that's not happening anymore. We want to beat Clemson. Okay, that's not happening anymore. And you see how you can always have some goal in front of you. So, Bill, if nothing else, remember for this week, your goals are still in front of you.
Goals and still in front of you. Well, let's listen. Shane Beamer yesterday talked about goals still available. Here's what Shane Beamer had to say yesterday during his press conference.
Yeah, I think it's making sure our guys realize that, what all is still out there for them to attain. Like we had high expectations going into the season. And a lot of the goals that we have had at the beginning of the season aren't attainable, but a lot of the goals that these seniors had at the beginning of the season are still very much attainable. And, not getting caught up so much, and I get it, we're judged on the record, but let's not get so caught up in we're 2-5 or 2-5 and lose sight of the things we have to be grateful for around here as well. And we get to play a game and coach a game that we love and all that as well. So that, I think communication is critical during this time, player to coach, coach to player, player to player. And that's what I told those leaders also. Like they all hurt. These seniors, the Carry-On Joiner, who's given so much to this university, did not come back this season to be sitting here at 2-5. But like I've told these seniors, this is your team, and whatever you want to get done, you need to communicate that, and it's on you guys. So we've empowered you as leaders, and now what are you going to do with it? And I've seen great signs of that with those guys communicating with one another, throughout the week at practice, with their work ethic, things like that as well. So like I've told you guys all along, we got great young men in this program. And if I felt, it'd be one thing if I woke up on Sunday mornings, or you really don't wake up because you hardly sleep on Saturday night after a loss, but when I get out of bed and come into the facility, if I came in here like, oh God, like I got to go deal with these guys again today, that's not the way I feel. Like even after a brutal loss on Saturday, gut-wrenching loss the Saturday before, I come in here on Sunday and I can't wait for the players to come into the building at 3:00 on Sundays and be around them. And that's the truth. So we got good young men, got good people in this program, we got good leadership on this team. We all need to be better, but we got a lot of football left, and let's make sure we appreciate being around one another day in, day out too.
Makes sense. A lot of it makes sense. But as a football player, Preston Thorne, as a person who takes coach's words maybe a little bit differently than fans, what do you hear?
Yeah, I mean, all of it absolutely makes sense. I was being tongue in cheek, but you can't. How else are we going to go out and play the rest of the season if we're not going out there and playing for something? That might boil down to individual goals that you have performance-wise. It may boil down to finishing the season the way you want to. And again, football is a very finite game, and there's nowhere to play football after you're done. So a lot of those seniors, they may be under the impression that they're going to play a lot more football, but more than likely they won't. So they need to start recognizing in their mind that this is it. There's not going to be an infinite amount of games in front of them. And so many of them, in about 4 weeks, that'll be the last time they play football. So hopefully they're starting to take the gravity of the situation, and maybe that propels them to go and do the things correctly that they need to get done.
To me, the big thing is obviously the season matters, but it was still keeping the momentum of the program. And I don't think I necessarily heard Shane Beamer allude to that. I know he's thinking Texas A&M, and then he'll think Jacksonville State, and then he'll think Vanderbilt, so forth and so on. I think big picture for me, Preston, is keeping the momentum of the program. And at this point, you're not going to reach the same number of wins that you had last season, which was 8. Obviously, even if you win out, you're still sitting at 7-5. But there is, to me, a feeling of the goal has to be scratching, fighting, clawing, getting to a bowl game, keeping that streak alive, keeping this recruiting class moving in the right direction, not losing anybody. Those to me are the big picture goals. I don't know if that pertains necessarily to the seniors, though. I guess, Preston, you might laugh at this. You might agree. The seniors' goals might be to get to that bowl game just to make sure they get the stipend money, right?
Bill, you struck a nerve, sir. Yes, that could possibly be it. Hopefully that might be their thing. Otherwise, it also gets tricky with seniors because you are seeing the door and you're like, you know what, man? I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I got to get a job. I got a whole situation that I'm figuring out. Maybe it's time that I start maybe putting some of my energy and attention elsewhere because, like I said, Bill, in 5 weeks, it's a wrap. And they're all going to have to figure some things out, and they all will be out on their own. So being a senior-led team is positive in good times, but in these types of times, the seniors, let's just say they have bigger, their goals, as in life goals, are in front of them. So it's really interesting to see how they're going to handle it.
Now, the other part of this, because I think all of this is intertwined and connected right now, and for the guys who aren't playing as much, especially some of the younger players who you need to develop, who have got to come along, and maybe they're part of the practice squad, maybe they're not getting, I mean, we've read it. I'll give you two perfect examples right now. Emory Floyd and Vakari Swain. And the reason I give you two examples, those are guys that I thought maybe could provide some depth in the secondary. Vakari Swain was the guy that South Carolina was able to hold on to. Deion Sanders in Colorado made a big run at him late in the recruiting process. Emory Floyd was a guy that South Carolina was able to land over Florida during the recruiting process 2 years ago. I thought that these would be guys that could provide some form of depth. They're not playing right now. Whether they're trying to preserve the red shirt of Vakari Swain, whether Emory Floyd is not performing up to where they wanted him to, what is the mindset of those guys? Because, again, it's hard to de-recruit the players, right, Preston? But when you're not playing snaps, matter of fact, who was it? It was Kajon Banks, I believe, is another defensive back who didn't see a whole lot of snaps, not seen a whole lot of snaps. That, to me, is the bigger issue. Not the guys who are playing, but the guys who maybe aren't seeing the snaps. And now their investment. Having been on teams like that, how do you see their investment?
Yeah, I don't know them personally. I don't know what situation's going on. What I do know is that it's very difficult to be sitting the bench on a team that's not very good, because you're looking out there and you're saying, why ain't I playing? What's the difference between I could go out there and get scorched by the slot receiver just the same way they are? What's the difference between me and them? And this is what you have to guard against when things start going against way. Are we all going to hold together, stay true to our goals, stay true to this team? Because once you start losing and the season gets later, a lot of people start thinking about themselves individually. And it's just natural human instinct. And that's where, to his credit, Shane has been very good in the past 2 years of keeping the team together and keeping them pulling in one direction. And he's going to have to figure out a way to do that again.
803-404-6100. We'll let you hear about the injuries on the players when we come back. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Here's what's coming up on the game.
The Shane Beamer Weekly Presser, sponsored by Pete Alewine Pools and Spas. Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Plus, text entitled with proof. Credit line 866-243-4622 for details. Never before and maybe never again. South Carolina's truck giant, Dodge Land on Greystone, is taking up to $12,000 off new Rams. Quad cab, crew cab, heavy duty. Big trucks, big savings. And where can you get up to 20% more for your trade? South Carolina's truck giant, up to $6,000 more. Don't wait. This has never happened before and maybe will never happen again. $12,000 off new Rams at Dodge Land on Greystone, jtsdodge.com.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? I'm Dr. Mark Bentley with Columbia Secret for Weight Loss, and I know the secret. Our unique weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. If you'd like to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged or boxed meals, no surgery, and no hypnosis, call my office now at 803-824-4210.
Columbia's Secret for Weight Loss changed my life. I've lost over 50 pounds, and now I have metabolic flexibility. To me, this program is more than just about fat loss. It's about a lifestyle. Throughout this program, the guidance and accountability help create a pathway to a healthier, better me.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month. It's a half a pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 803-824-4210. That's 803-824-4210. Or ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com.
Trust, we will trust.
New Silverados are on the ground now, and more are on the way to Herndon Chevrolet. We're taking a up to get you in your new truck. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at HerndonChevy.com today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile, smile. Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hostetler Brown. Do you know the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? The difference could easily save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term care costs. Visit LawyerLisa.com to schedule a consultation today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Honey, you need a trust.
Are unauthorized parked cars taking up valuable spots in your lot? Schroeder's Towing has the solution. With 21 trucks in our fleet, we'll quickly remove any unauthorized vehicles from your property. Plus, we offer free signage to let everyone know that your lot is for customers only. At Schroeder's Towing, we take pride in providing reliable and professional towing services. Our team is available 24/7 to assist you with all of your towing needs. Don't let parking problems hurt your business. Call us today at 343-8519 and let us handle the rest.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest booker to town.
Hi, everybody. This is Woody Wyndham here to talk about Pioneer Tree Service. Pioneer Tree Service has more than 4 decades of helping homeowners maintain and manage trees on their property. Their skilled crew offers customized solutions that match your needs and budget. Tree trimming and tree removal can be dangerous. You need to trust the people that are doing the job. Before attempting to remove limbs, call Pioneer Tree Service for a free quote. They remove limbs safely and make sure that future growth is directed away from potential trouble areas such as roof lines and driveways. Cutting down trees takes more than a chainsaw. Even branches can weigh thousands of pounds, and their removal must be handled with care. Pioneer Tree Service offers a full complement of state-of-the-art heavy equipment, from track hose to bucket trucks to safely remove trees and stumps from your property. And no matter where you live, the Gantt girls can get there. And I want you to call them at 803-794-8253.
Gotta take
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line.
Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen.
803-404-6100.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game. 1075 The Game traffic. Sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring statewide with huge pay raises. Correctional officers can now make $50,000 plus in their first year. Officers must be at least 18 years of age. Visit joinscdc.com to apply.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic on 1075 The Game.
I-26 westbound, kind of a mess up there if you are heading that direction. Exit 97, also exit 101. Both of those have some type of incident there. When you get to exit 101, the right lane is currently blocked. Aside from that, one other time to let you know about, and that's I-26 eastbound at St. Andrews Road. But your weather looks pretty good. Great week, really, to be getting outside. 79 for the high today. Then we hit low 80s, get into mid 80s by the weekend. Right now, it's 48 on the early game. Are you wanting to cut for injuries? Cut for?
Preston Thorne and Jen Jensen.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 1075 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Injury-wise, Juice won't play. I'd say Amarian Brown is doubtful. And then literally every single other person that you're going to ask me about is questionable. They were all out there today. They all were not full speed necessarily. They were all limited in their own way. But hopefully as we go throughout the week, they'll get closer and closer to being close to 100% and able to play on game day. I don't want to speak for Juice. I think if you ask Juice, I think he would tell you he would like to come back and play at some point this season. He's a competitor. He wants to be out there. He's in every meeting. He's engaged. He's talking. He's working like crazy to be able to get back. Yeah, I was talking with Mo Kaba this morning. He and I were texting back and forth about something, and then obviously saw him in our meeting. He's in good spirits, and we'll see what the future holds for him as well. Hate it for him that he's not playing right now, along with all of our injured guys. They all love football and love to play, and it's tough not being able to. So my heart breaks for them.
That's Shane Beamer, Preston Thorne, I think, giving an injury report without giving an injury report. When he just says, all the other guys you're going to ask me about are questionable. They're all just – That's a man who has no time for an injury report. Right? They're all questionable. I don't know. We're all day to day. I mean, we literally all are day to day at our age.
Listen, Bill, if there's nothing else that we know of, it's just all day to day. Some days you just roll out of bed with a little bit of an ankle. You roll out of bed with a knee, an upper body. Hey, man, we're day to day. Questionable.
One thing that I do think as we get ready, now we got the transfer portal stats prepared and ready.
We're ready, sir.
All right, because I say this, Michael on our live stream, and I think that's true. I think it's true. He says, I believe losing Bell, Lloyd, and Birch hurt more than we realize. Obviously, there's been a lot of injuries. Mo Kaba, Juice Wells. I mean, the three guys I just mentioned, those were starters. Now you throw in the fact you also lost two other starters from last year, Kaba and Juice Wells. You can kind of go down the line a little bit. Rashawn Lee is out. He was technically a starter at center, but I think played very well at right tackle. There's a sixth starter from last year, not counting Darius Rush and Cam Smith. That would be 8 of your starters. I know I'm missing a few more. I think, other guys that were here that left. And the truth is, this team is not the same as last year, and they have taken a step backwards. There's no doubt about that, right, Preston?
Yeah, the record indicates that, and the performance on especially the defensive side indicates that as well.
But when you say yeah, the record indicates it, I agree. But what I mean by that is, I think we all expected this team to take the next step forward. Where in reality, now you look at it, and this team has got one thing that's got to be fixed is depth, so that when you lose these players, you've got guys behind them. Give us a rundown though on Transfer Portal Tuesday/Wednesday and how some people have fared.
Yeah, let's start at the top. And with the win versus Duke, Florida State, obviously Jaheim Bell's out there. Pretty strong game. 8 catches, 53 yards, receiving. So that's not a huge average, but it does indicate that he's a pretty big target for them. And more importantly than anything, I saw a highlight of Jaheim Bell block, which if you watched last year, he didn't have much interest in doing very, very much of. So that part of his game has developed, and that is the development. Gilbert Edmond also at Florida State, 1 solo tackle and one assist. So there's 2 depth pieces that, whether you're talking about the tight end or you're talking about defensive end, which we have not had much production out of, that hurts there. USC, the other USC junior over there, Marshawn Lloyd, 7 carries, 86 yards in a loss to Utah. That's been about his consistent stat line for the year. He thinks if you follow USC, they really want to get Caleb Williams to be the star of that team. But Marshawn Lloyd's been very consistent, not necessarily explosive, but very consistent. At tight end, we have Austin Stogner in a win versus UCF. Not very much in his performance, 1 reception and a touchdown. In a reception of 8 yards. Also was on the hands team and kind of iced the game with getting the onside kick. Your favorite, Rashad Amos, in a loss to Toledo at Miami of Ohio. 10 carries, 55 yards. Been a workhorse for that squad. Again, that hints to the depth at the running back position here, which we have a lack of. Jordan Birch, not big stat day in a win versus Washington State. And Jordan, this is the deal with Jordan. Jordan's going to go to the NFL Combine. He's going to test out of this world, and then he's going to end up playing in the NFL for 10 years, if he so chooses to, because that's just a physical specimen that he is. So you're probably never going to see these stats, and I don't know whether that's him not being very interested in playing or whether he's just not going to be that explosive. But very few guys are going to be able to do what he does on the testing facilities. At wide receiver, talking about depth, Corey Rucker, big game in a loss to Coastal Carolina. He had 4 catches for 104 yards. We saw some of that explosiveness last year before he was hurt. We never got a chance to really see him on the field. So those are the big ones at transfer portal Tuesday on a Wednesday. Bill, I think the big thing we keep trying to stress here is that, one, we want to keep up with these guys because we paid attention to them, but two, we want to see how it affects our team. And now that we're having these conversations about depth, you see each one of these players would have at least been a warm body, and more than that, they all probably would have contributed this year.
Yeah, the one, again, I don't think Rashad Amos or Deshaun Fenwick would have come in and been this lights-out running back, but would it have given South Carolina a nice 1-2 punch with Mario Anderson as opposed to the Kerryon Joyner? Yes. I think there's no question there. Does Jaheim Bell have the same stats here? Would South Carolina be, 4-3 with Jaheim Bell? No, I don't think so. Jaheim Bell's not worth 2 wins, but it does give you another guy to line up out there and to throw to in a situation where you've, again, Xavier Legette's questionable, has had a huge year, but without Juice Wells, Jaheim Bell, Trey Knox, and Xavier Legette would have formed a nice trio of players to go along with kind of some role players there in Amarion Brown. Kind of the same thing, Jordan Birch and Gilbert Edmond. These are guys you had invested time in trying to coach and teach. And, the overall statistics of those guys, no, they don't jump out at you. They're not, you don't see Jordan Birch out there with 1 million sacks at Oregon, or Gilbert Edmond, who's playing behind some really good players at Florida State with these huge gaudy numbers. But again, they were developmental players in your system, and yes, they would provide depth. And I think they honestly, outside of maybe Jordan Strong, Jordan Birch and Gilbert Edmond potentially could be your starting defensive ends right now.
Yeah,
And
I don't, Bill, I wouldn't even say that's potentially. I would say that's guaranteed.
so, yeah, that's the thing about it. You can't just say, well, all right, and you do have to replace him. It is on Shane Beamer. It is on his staff to go into the transfer portal. And I do kind of agree right now. You look at what South Carolina did in the portal this year. So let's just look at the stats. If you kind of flip this around, Preston, you say, okay, well, what has South Carolina's transfer portal guys done from the last this off season? And it starts, I guess, with Mario Anderson, right? Because without Mario Anderson, who knows where the South Carolina run game is actually at right now. We've seen him develop and come along a little bit more over the last few weeks, and he's going to be a big part, an integral part of this offense. 76 carries now, 396 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, the majority of that coming really in the last 3 games. You go down the list and you go to receivers. Trey Knox, obviously right now without him, boy, where would South Carolina be? 30 catches, 246 yards and 2 touchdowns. Second leading receiver on the team, both in terms of catches and in yards. The disappointing one, in my opinion, Joshua Simon, 1 touchdown on the season, just 10 catches, 84 yards. That was a guy that I thought Preston would come in and would have a huge role in this offense. I thought he was kind of maybe the underrated transfer recruit, I guess is what I was looking for. Really surprising that he is averaging just, less than a catch a game here through 7 games, 10 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Eddie Lewis, not much better at all. And I think the times that Eddie Lewis, maybe it's his practice. We talked about practice habits earlier. You've heard things like that. Eddie Lewis so far, again, another transfer portal piece, 9 catches, 120 yards, and no touchdowns. So, from your transfer wide receiver, or I lump them together, I reckon, tight end and wide receiver, 19 catches for just, 206 yards. 19 catches, 206 yards. That wouldn't even be second on the team if you combine both of those guys, Preston. So just offensively, it doesn't look like South Carolina has really been able to replace Jaheim Bell, Rashad Amos, and Deshaun Fenwick. Throw in the offensive lineman, Sidney Fugar, who is, I'm not trying to pick on the young man, couldn't have had a worse first game. I guess he's improved a little bit, but you've not gotten a lot out of him. Jackson Hughes, another transfer in from Charlotte, again, struggled mightily in that first game. Nick Gargiulo's kind of been the rock in the middle, but Preston, you read his PFF grades yesterday. Those, you read his PFF grades yesterday from the Saturday game. Those were that was a very poor performance on his part.
Yeah, that was his worst performance of the year. And it's really interesting when you say a rock, it's not as if he's been playing particularly well, but he's been at least consistent, and he's been the person who's been controlling the offensive line as they develop.
Going over to the defensive side, Tyus Gear was injured for the early part of the season, but so far just 6 total tackles on the season, 3 solo, 3 assists, 0 sacks. He does have a pass deflection. Again, that was a guy that everybody said, okay, well, this is how you replace a Gilbert Edmond. This is how you replace a Jordan Birch. I know that Jatius Gear has been injured so far this season and has not been able to play much, but certainly that hurts. Drew Tuazama so far on the season, he's done even less. 1 tackle on the season. And Preston, we talked about that. The guy comes in mid-August, enrolls mid-August. How do you get him ready? How can he really impact your team, especially at a position of need at defensive end? Again, just 1 tackle so far on the season. So, no, you didn't replace the losses of Jordan Birch and Gilbert Edmond there. And, Preston, that's the big thing. South Carolina right now, it's looking like they completely whiffed. Trey Knox, I guess you give him credit, Mario Anderson. But other than that, you'd call it complete whiffs in the transfer portal, true?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a way that we can really look at this as the season comes to an end. We can do a comprehensive and just look maybe position by position without even – we just put nameless, faceless opponents. If we just look at statistics and look at the raw statistics of what went out and what came in, it's basically like a budget. I mean, if more goes out than comes in, you're going to be in a bad situation. So that's what it looks like right now.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. We'll get into some NFL notes. Preston Thorne's got some updates. The Packers didn't play this. The Packers didn't play this weekend. We'll get into some more notes from the NFL as well. You're listening to the early game. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jen.
The game will be at the beach, in the PD, and the Midlands. That almost covers the whole Palmetto State. In Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Oh, pumpkin pie, pumpkin spice, all those great smells of the fall. What about a new car smell? It's up there, right? It's right up there with maybe a good baked turkey, maybe a good baked ham, a new car smell. Fantastic. And you know what? At Love Chevrolet, they provide plenty of new car smells, but they do it at a great price. They don't sell above MSRP. They give you the largest selection of vehicles anywhere in the Midlands. And at Love Chevrolet, you're going to find the most experienced, knowledgeable, friendly staff of anywhere right here in the Midlands. I've trusted them with whether it's maintaining my car or purchasing a new car. And Love Chevrolet has never let me down. They will do the same for you because, again, at Love Chevrolet, it's all about you, the customer. Go visit I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park and check out that new car smell. Find the car, truck, or SUV you've been looking for in that 14 acres of brand new Chevys. Get out to Love Chevrolet today and find new roads.
How does Taco Bell not have a breakfast taco? Like, duh, but now the all-new toasted breakfast taco is here with fluffy eggs, melty cheese, and savory sausage. Rewards members get one free every Tuesday till October 31st, only on the app at participating Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours while supplies last.
Plus, text entitled with approved credit card 866-243-4623 for details. Never before and maybe never again, South Carolina's truck giant Dodge Land on Greystone is taking up to $12,000 off new Rams. Quad cab, crew cab, heavy duty, big trucks, big savings. And where can you get up to 20% more for your trade? South Carolina's truck giant, up to $6,000 more. Don't wait, this has never happened before and maybe will never happen again. $12,000 off new Rams at Dodge Land on Greystone, jtsdodge.com.
At Kroger, we know the minute a tomato is picked, the fresh timer starts. The sooner we get our produce to you, the fresher it is. That's why we've shortened the time from harvest to home for our tasty tomatoes, strawberries, and salads. So no matter how you shop, you have more time with your fresh produce. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Right now, Kroger 80% lean ground beef is on sale. 16-ounce packages are just $3.99 with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
This is Larry Light, owner and manager of Mid-State Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we continue to be proven leaders in roofing and work with you. Mid-State Roofing's proven history is your assurance. Our professionals at Mid-State Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospital to manufacturing to industrial, Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protected guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Lane, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at
356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Mid-State Roofing staff member during at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Mid-State Twin.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
There's no better place to be on a fall Saturday than at Williams-Brice Stadium. Secure your tickets today to catch a game this fall. Visit thegamecockclub.com for more information. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game.
Susie Schuster and Amy Trask present offbeat conversations and expert sports commentary as they ask, what the football?
When my family found out how long it took me to figure out why Charles Green's name was wanting to intercept, they said, there's a reason that you had trouble in school.
Not everyone knows, when they think of a daughter of intercept, they don't know that I play football.
Well, what I've learned is a smooth defensive back can make smooth line.
That's what it's all about.
What the Football, the podcast is available Tuesdays, wherever you listen.
The early game.
With Bill Gunter, former Gamecock Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen, your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game, also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
107.5 The Game traffic, sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring statewide with huge pay raises. Correctional officers can now make $50,000 plus in their first year. Officers must be at least 18 years of age. Visit joinscdc.com to apply.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic on 107.5 The Game.
U.S. have cleared. We still are working I-26 westbound at exit 101. Keep landing times to slow down there. And it looks like more work can start to be happening I-20 westbound. Heading over to Augusta between exit 58 and 55. So just slowing down, losing the lane heading that direction. So heads up there as well. 79 for the high today, 80 tomorrow, get to the low to mid 80s through the rest of the week and the weekend. 48 right now.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Eight 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in for a do so. NBA getting going last night with the Nuggets knocking off the Lakers 119-107, and then you also had the late game taking place last night. Phoenix knocking off Golden State 108-104. Devin Booker 32 points. Say that because tonight the Memphis Grizzlies get going. For the roster that I'm looking at, which is listed as the opening night roster, G.G. Jackson will be a part of that. He is on a two-way contract. He'll be eligible to play for the Grizzlies and the NBA, their G League team, the Memphis Hustle. I was trying to see if he was listed with them for tonight. As he's listed on their opening night roster, Preston Thorne. I don't know, though, if that means he's actually in uniform with them or if he is being sent to the Memphis Hustle to start his season.
The Memphis Hustle and Flow, you can say, Bill?
Oh, very good. Yes, that's a very good point. I did not even think about that. But yeah, I've tried to see it. It's got as I'm looking at the NBA.com website, it had the opening night roster. He is on there, but again, he and another player, Jacob Gilliard, and Vince Williams Jr. all listed as two-way players. I don't know if that means he is technically in uniform tonight or how that works out, but that'll be at least the one Gamecock I found. I was trying to find P.J. Dozier if where he was starting the season in the NBA, if he was starting in the league or if he'll start in the G League or who he was with now. I think he might have gone overseas, but I'll get to the bottom of that here in just a second. Why don't you give us?
P.J. has officially stopped over the correct?
Yeah. I'm trying to think because I think he's at 3 that I know of. Boston, Denver. He was with Denver, got hurt. I think with the Boston, and then got traded to the Magic, and then I believe got cut. So I'm trying to see exactly where he ended up. But I'll check into that here in a second. But you've got an update on South Carolina players in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's do this. Let's change this a little bit to Gamecocks and the pros, because obviously we had Christian Walker and Jordan Montgomery becoming the first Gamecocks to play in the NFL since Jackie Bradley Jr. in 2018. So that's a good deal with them. And then obviously we have last week, I don't know if you saw the shenanigans, but Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces celebrating their back-to-back championships. So shout out to them, and Atlanta Colts also with the Las Vegas Aces. Now, to the NFL, we have J.D. Clowney with the Baltimore Ravens, who won 38-6 over the Lions. Put a pretty firm handle on the Lions. J.D. Clowney had 1 tackle. He's entered into the sure-handed veteran stage of his career, where he's playing very well, very solid, not very explosive. He's out there being a contributor to the team. The Broncos, Keyshawn Nixon did play. They lost. The Packers lost to the Broncos, where Nate Atkins had one reception for 3 yards, which who would have thought we would be lamenting the loss of Nate Atkins this year, but he was a tremendous part of that late season surge for last year. But Kingsley Mbari had 2 tackles. Keyshawn Nixon with 2 tackles also. So again, there's Keyshawn popping up. Bye week for the Cowboys and Panthers. The Panthers are probably very happy to have a bye week because they are reaching and careening towards a 0-17 season. So we'll see how that turns out. The 49ers lost to the Ravens. Debo is out. Bill, we talked about this, and I always want to make this distinction. Debo is injury prone. It's just the way that he plays. He plays a very aggressive brand of football, and he tends to just be on the injured list a good bit. So he was out for 2 weeks. This is the first of 2 weeks. We'll see if he comes back. Javon Kinlaw out there with the 49ers, 1 tackle. Nothing very major. We had no statistics for Zach Pickens, but Jen, you all may have found a quarterback. Possible, maybe.
No, and Jen's falling apart in there, sick. But no, that Preston, in that story, and I'm not trying to pick on Jen or the Bears or anybody, but this is going to be a situation where the film is out on him now. Correct? Like he had his moment in the sun. It was fantastic. Everybody's very happy. We're all thrilled. It was a neat story. Division II quarterback comes to the rescue of the Bears, and everybody's happy now.
Is he long term?
No. No. And again, I say this, they also beat up on the Raiders, who were pathetic. Now you got to go on the road. It's a night. You guys see this, right? You guys see where the Bears at. They have they're playing. No, this is not going to go well.
It's an anomaly, I think.
No, yeah, I don't even know what the spread is on that game, but the Chargers are 2-4, but they're at home. Bears 2-5. Lay it all on the Chargers.
Really?
Listen. We have Justin Herbert or Division II star. We'll see how that turns out. I misspoke earlier when I said the 49ers lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Vikings. That was the game on Monday night. DJ Wallum continues to play well. 2 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Become a very solid NFL pro. He's a guy that seems like he's going to bounce around. That's going to be in a spot for a long time. So that's essentially the NFL. A lot of other guys are inactive, moving up on practice squads, and that's the big difference you see. As you were talking about the NBA, and you talk about G.G. Jackson as opposed to where G.G. is and how the NFL works, obviously my first thought goes to that NBA money still going to be the same. Regardless of whether he's with the Memphis Hustle or Grizzlies, he's going to get paid, and that's good for him. In the NFL, you bounce up and down as your paycheck reflects that. So it's essentially how that plays out across different leagues.
Yeah, and for the record, I could not find on the NBA.com website. I know that that PJ last year was with he finished the season with Sacramento. When I type into the player search, I cannot. There's no Dozier that comes up, so I'm assuming that I did. AJ Lawson is with the Dallas Mavericks. He had a very good Preston. He had a very good summer league for the Mavericks, and I think he's got another chance to kind of stick around. That'd give the Gamecocks, unless I'm just blanking on anybody out there, that would give South Carolina 2 players in the NBA going into the season with G.G. Jackson with the Grizzlies. Again, he's on that 2-way contract, and A.J. Lawson with the Mavericks. And he has actually performed very well for the Mavericks during, again, what I would say is limited opportunities, but he's had a good bit during the summer league. Real quick, the Mavericks, I'm just glancing, the Mavericks announcing their opening night starting list, and I'll have theirs here in just a minute to see, but I think he is on a 2-way contract as well, but gives you another Gamecock to check out and watch. 803-404-6100 is how you could join us this morning if you want to do so. We'll get into some more Shane Beamer audio, and we'll get final thoughts from Preston as we wrap it up this morning, or we wrap up hour 2. You're listening to the early game.
Here's what's coming up on the game.
Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer, live from Backstreet Grill in Columbia, Thursday at 6 p.m.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
This is Boomer Esiason with CBS Sports Minute. Some questions are being raised at the penalty lap track. How can veteran backup quarterback Brian Hoyer and coach Josh McDaniels lose to an undrafted free agent rookie quarterback? Do Sam Howell and offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy have any answer for a blitz other than take a sack? And isn't the Chargers coach Brandon Staley now a regular here, by the way? Supposed to be a defensive genius? Guess not. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
After a big dinner, my nighttime heartburn would keep me up. I'd be taking antacid after antacid all night long. But then I tried Prilosec OTC. Just 1 pill a day blocks my frequent heartburn for a full 24 hours, giving me one-and-done heartburn relief. Without heartburn keeping me up, I can have a restful night's sleep.
Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Pete Wine Pool and Spa is your hometown hot tub dealer where sales and service go hand in hand. If you've been thinking about buying a hot tub, come check out our full line of hot tubs and explore the benefits of hydrotherapy, which includes stress relief and increased blood flow and promotes overall health and well-being. Models start as low as $5,000. Pete Wine Pool and Spa, 5541 Sunset Boulevard. You'll find us on Facebook or online at PeteLWinePools.com.
Plus, text entitled with approved credit card 866-243-4623 for details. Never before and maybe never again. South Carolina's truck giant, Dodge Land on Greystone, is taking up to $12,000 off new Rams. Quad cab, crew cab, heavy duty. Big trucks, big savings. And where can you get up to 20% more for your trade? South Carolina's truck giant, up to $6,000 more. Don't wait. This has never happened before and maybe will never happen again. $12,000 off new Rams at Dodge Land on Greystone, jtsdodge.com.
Life matters. The Chicago White Sox were called the Black Sox long before they threw the 1919 World Series. Most fans think they earned the dishonorable title because of what Gandil, Cicotti, and 5 or 6 others did to intentionally lose the series. Well, that only made it worse. They were called the Black Sox because owner Charles Comiskey was so cheap that he wouldn't launder the players' uniforms. In a protest against Comiskey, the players refused to do their own laundry and essentially played until their white socks turned black. Well, Comiskey eventually agreed to launder their uniforms, but he had the cost deducted from their World Series bonus. I guess the lesson is obvious. It's bad to get dirty on the outside, but it's a lot worse to lose your integrity. Chicago fans learned there's more than one way to become known as the Black Sox. This is Pastor Stephen Chitty reminding you that life matters, and so do you.
Game.
With Bill Gunter, Preston Thorne, and Shen Jensen.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Eight zero 6100 if you want to weigh in this morning. Coming up in about 13 minutes, should be joined by Preston Thorne's good buddy Strick, or John Strickland, who will pop in. I'll make sure that these two are actually in studio in the very, very near future. We're going to get him kind of warmed up for you, Preston. Your former, were you guys practice squad mates? The practice squad going again? I guess in practice squad you didn't go against each other.
Every level, we came in together in the same class. We were scrubs together. We started together. We did it all. The whole rank and file. When it was good on good, we were together. When it was the Monday Night Football, when the quote unquote younger guys got out there, we were together then too. So we played a lot of football against each other.
No, and there's a bond there, right? That freshman class, you guys freshman class that came in 2000, and I'm going to ask Strick about this. Just a bond of coming in. I think you still laugh about the other offensive lineman whose name I forget, who basically was on the recruiting visit saying that y'all were going to be the group that changed everything and that brought it back. Didn't last more than about 3 weeks of practice.
Bill, he literally left during camp, like in the middle of the night. He was like, "Where's this guy?" And he's no longer with us anymore.
What questions do we need to ask Big John Strickland this morning?
Man, I think you really need to get into the offensive line. John played center for a majority of his time here, and he's somebody that you can really dig into about the intricacies of playing center, the responsibilities of what they have to do, and why that position is extremely difficult. We rarely get somebody that's going to be able to really speak to offensive line play because most of us have no idea what we're talking about as far as offensive line is concerned. So if there's any curiosities you have about why something's working or why it's not working, Strick will be able to answer those for you.
Well, we'll let him talk about that. Here is Shane Beamer yesterday, speaking of the offense line, talking about protecting Spencer Rattler. We'll let Preston hear this and then offer his thoughts. Here's Shane Beamer yesterday during his press conference.
I know it didn't look like it on Saturday, but we tried to last Saturday. We tried to get the ball out of his hands quicker. We tried to move the pocket. We threw a couple screens to running backs as well, just to try and slow down the pass rush. We, double teamed people and things like that. And I said it on the teleconference Sunday night that, when I turned on the tape, you expected to see like just Missouri guy after Missouri guy just running through our offensive linemen. And it wasn't necessarily that. It was just one play it might be the right tackle, one play it might be the tight end, one play it might be the quarterback, one play it might be the center, one play it might be the left guard, the running back, the receiver, the left tackle, whoever it might be. We all had a hand in it from a protection standpoint. But yes, to answer your question, we tried to do that last week. We obviously, as coaches, didn't do a good enough job of trying to design ways to help Spencer. But at some point too, like, you got to do your job, and at some point you got to be able to protect. And our five offensive linemen, they're on scholarship too, and they need to be able to get it done. We recruited them here to South Carolina for a reason. They're really good players. We beat other schools for a lot of these guys as well because they're really good players, and we have confidence in them as well. So, yes, we're going to help Spencer also. We can't ask him – the other thing is being able to run the ball. We can't ask him to throw the ball 40 times like he did against Missouri, and we can't sit back there and ask him to be in true drop-back six-man protection for 40 times. But we have to be able to do that some, whether it's five-man protection and we're free release in the back, or we're in empty, or whether it's max protection. We got to be able to mix it up and certainly help him, particularly with the defensive line that we faced last week, we'll face this week, and that we'll see as the year goes on also.
Preston, you hear those things. The one thing that stands out, look, yeah, there is accountability. There's accountability for coaches. There's also needs to be accountability for players. And what he says is true. Those five guys are on scholarship. They've got to do their job, right?
Yeah, I hear him. But again, when you say that it's not one thing, it's 10 things. If you have a car, Bill, and one day the tires are broken, and then the brakes are broken, and then the fan belt goes off, and then the timing belt messes up. That just means you have a bad car, and it just sounds like you just have a bad team if you can't figure out what the problem is. If the problem is everywhere, it just means that they're not playing well. And when you say do your job, yes, obviously everybody wants to do their job, but it's the coach's responsibility to get them in position to do that. And if they can't field that team, then they have to do better.
We will ask John Strickland about what the next step is for this offensive line, Preston, and obviously tomorrow we'll start to get more into the Texas A&M, really get into the Texas A&M game, kind of break that down a little bit, listen to a little bit of Jimbo Fisher from that. But the final thoughts here is you've got to go to school and or you got a conference, I should say. It's not school today, but you've got stuff you've got to do. But I say that as you hear some of this from Shane Beamer, because I think there's always a balance act for coaches. When you're losing, coaches can't say anything. There's nothing that can be said, and the fan base go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I'm with him on that. But everything you heard, what do you take away from Shane Beamer where this football program is here on a Wednesday morning?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I guess I would say is do your job starts with coaching, goes back to execution, and all that starts from the top.
We will obviously get a lot more into that as we go through. We'll play some more audio here coming up in just a little while from that, but certainly more to do. Want to let you listen to one other thing real quick and get Preston's opinion on it. Spencer Rattler, obviously we'll talk about him, but his attitude right now, because I think that's something else we'll have to get into tomorrow a little bit. This is Spencer Rattler's attitude per Shane Beamer.
Couldn't be better. I mean, he's amazing. He really is. He got the crap beat out of him on Saturday. Never complained, never once came over there, was continuing to lift up his teammates, was continuing to try and pick up the freshmen, was in there battling to the very end. I feel for him because I talk about these seniors that come back. Same thing with him. I mean, he came back and he's playing his butt off right now. He didn't expect to be 2-5. He didn't expect to, have some of the injuries that we've had on the offensive line, but his energy at practice, his demeanor within the team goes back to Mike's question about leadership. Be like Spencer and how he is handling his teammates, and then just his unselfishness. Like I got on the plane Saturday before he did, and I was sitting on the aisle, not feeling good about myself or anything, waiting on everybody else to board, and he came by me and stopped to put his hand on my shoulder and apologized to me that they weren't able to get it done on Saturday. And I'm like, bro, I should be apologizing to you. I mean, you're the one that just got beat up out there, and I didn't coach well enough for you. That's just, it's not fake. That's how he is, and that's the way he always has been. And couldn't be prouder of him. There's not another quarterback in the country I'd rather have than him leading this team. And he's got a great future in these next 5 games. There's still some great moments coming for him as a quarterback, and then he's got a great future as a quarterback after he leaves here at Carolina as well.
Preston, Shane Beamer dropped a bro on us in there. Well,
I wonder if when Shane says bro around his kids, that they're like, Dad, come on.
Yeah, we got a bro in there. I wanted you to listen to that thing about that. I want to get into that a little bit tomorrow because some people talking about Spencer Rattler and the month of November. We'll talk about that a little bit, get into it. Be safe today, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. We'll be back in studio tomorrow. Appreciate y'all.
Take care.
Chris, what's up?
John Strickland, due up next. You're listening to the early game.
1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Discover Herndon Certified. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
For the second year in a row, U.S. News & World Report has named Lexington Medical Center the best hospital in the Columbia metro region. We're proud to be the #1 hospital in the Midlands and the #2 hospital in the state. We're giving our best to care for you.
Trane heating and cooling systems are tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit TraneInfo.com to find your local independent Trane dealer. TraneInfo.com. It's hard to stop a Trane.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course, visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Mount Valley Foundation Services. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at fixmyfoundation.com.
The Gamecock men's basketball season is almost here. Secure your season tickets today for year 2 of the Lamont Paris era and catch all the games at Colonial Life Arena this season. Home opponents for the 2023-2024 season include Notre Dame, Kentucky, Tennessee, and more. Season tickets start at less than $6 per game. To learn more and secure your season tickets, visit thegamecockclub.com today.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we know how serious injuries change people's lives. I'm Jason Reynolds. When you're involved in a major car or truck accident, my team is on your side. You don't have to be alone. Let's do this together.
And I'm Steven Samuels. When you're hurt at work, my team is with you from start to finish. We're people with a passion for helping injured workers. Bring your case to us and stop the worry. We've got this.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Fall is officially here. Crisp mornings, breezy evenings, offering relief from the hot summer. But for some older folks, it also means it's time to fire up the heat. AAA Heating and Air wants to help our seniors make sure their heating systems are in tip-top shape for changing weather. That is why AAA Heating and Air is offering complimentary unit checkups to all senior citizens in our service area. If you are 62 years or older, call AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500 to schedule your appointment today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. No pressure buying. Best in class service. And a $1,000 low price guarantee. The season's always better in a Love Chevrolet. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads.
We are the Veterans Health Administration, and our hands provide life-changing care to over 9 million veterans across more than 1,200 facilities nationwide. Join hands with us to make an impact in your community. Learn more at vacareers.va.gov.
1075 The Game traffic, sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring statewide with huge pay raises. Correctional officers can now make $50,000 plus in their first year. Officers must be at least 18 years of age. Visit joinscdc.com to apply.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic on 1075 The Game.
Highway 1 near Pisgah Church Road, we have a report of an accident there. Earlier tie-up on I-26 westbound around exit 101 that has been cleared, so if it's moving slowly, it will be improving. But we do have one other tie-up on I-26 westbound to let you know about, and that is at exit 115. 79 for the high today, 80 tomorrow, 82 through 85, really in that range through Monday.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
Hey, this is Sean Cooper from Gamecock Men's Basketball, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus media station.
The early game.
Bill Gunter.
Still working on that word that I was going for, trying to remember what exact word I was going for.
Former Gamecock Preston Thorne.
People don't like people that are non-people people.
Jen Jensen.
Still working on that word that I was going for, trying to remember what exact word I was going for.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game.
The theme of this show. I don't know what happened.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Just saw a large, imposing figure walk by the street here on Gervais Street. Turns out it is the one and only John Strickland who will make his way in and join us here momentarily. We welcome you in on a Wednesday morning. Bill Gunner, John Strickland here in just a second. Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne doing a little work this morning, so we get you up and get you going, and we'll carry you through the final hour here before we turn it over to Tyler Head. Been discussing a little bit about what's going on in college football. Players going rogue. Cade Klubnik on Saturday night just calling his own number. And John Strickland joining me this morning. You never got the chance to call your own number playing football? Being the center, you can't snap it to yourself and just take off down the field.
No, that would be nice, but no, no chance of doing that.
How would, not you necessarily doing it, but how would have Lou Holtz handled the calling of one's own number if Phil Petty had decided, I know a little bit more than Skip, or I'll call this one and we'll handle it myself?
Yeah, no, I think it did happen once, and I'm trying to remember. I know it did, but no, not Lou would not be thrilled at all by that at all. You know what? I did ask Lou one time. We were up by a lot. Forget who we were playing. I was like, Coach, just let me get in the backfield and score a touchdown. We were like down on the goal line. He said, absolutely not.
I'm guessing he said it and then walked off. He didn't even look at you, right?
Yeah,
just kind of,
much.
Offering. Well, welcome in, man. Good to have you in. Obviously wanted Preston to be here, but he had something come up, and so we're going to do this again and again and get you two together because I don't know if you were listening on the way in. He was talking about you two coming into the university together, being on the practice squad together, going against each other in practices. Said he had butted heads with you a million times, and because when you butt heads with someone a million times, you tend to not remember it quite as much.
Yeah, we were in the same class. Came in and scout team. We did scout team together, and then as we got older, of course, I was starting 03 and 04, and then played a lot my redshirt freshman and redshirt sophomore year. So we got a lot of practice reps against each other.
Is there a bond? Do you have obviously you had a bond with your other offensive linemen with the quarterback, but is there more of a bond with offensive and defensive linemen because you practice against each other and you hit each other so much that there's a little bit more of that bond, that friendship, because you're not trying to hurt each other, but you're trying to get each other better?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say so, especially, like you say, going against each other every day. But I mean, we'd also get into it too,
right,
on the practice field. I mean, it would happen, but because we do a lot of our drills together. We go do pass pro during practice, was just O-line, D-line going against each other. So we got a lot of time spent together hitting each other. So.
And your coach, remind me, was Dave DeGluke.
Yeah,
Googe. Yeah, that was the easy way to say it.
Yeah, heck, Googe. Some early Paul Lounsbury when I first got there, because they had Lounsbury at guards and center, and Googe had tight ends and tackles. But then we put it all together, and Googe just the whole O-line. And then my senior year was Steve Schenkweiler.
South Carolina does that now defensively. They've got Travian Robinson with the tackles, the interior, Sterling Lucas with it. Do you like that plan? Is it a little bit too much there? Do you prefer, like when Brad Lawing was here, he had the whole defensive line. And obviously Preston and I talked this morning about the lack of production from the defensive ends this year. A lot of it may be more talent related when you lose transfer portal guys like Jordan Birch and Gilbert Edmond. But does it hurt the cohesiveness of an offensive line? Do you think it hurts the cohesiveness of a defensive line when you do that?
That's a great question. I didn't see that it did when I played, and it was like that with us. But I could see where it could, because I'll tell you what I don't know. I don't know if they're all in the same meeting rooms and you got both coaches in there, or if they're in separate meeting rooms or not. I'm assuming they're in the same meeting room, possibly. I don't know, though, because that could get kind of confusing with two coaches trying to talk over each other.
That's what I was asking you. 803-404-6100. John Strickland stepping in this morning. We just trade one lineman for the next, just to go from defense to offense. Well, let's start with this. Let's start with the position you know best, and you are probably well aware. You've watched the struggles of the offensive line this year. And let's just start with this, having to move guys around, seeing Nick Gargiulo go from right guard to center. Rashawn Lee obviously was injured, but going from center out to right tackle. You've had guys, freshmen, come in that are having to play true freshmen, and Big Tree Babalade, Trevon Ball. What is your take on that? The moving of guys, trying to find the right chemistry, the right five, and then also freshmen having to come in and play instantly.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think we found our five in the Florida game, and Lee gets hurt, and it's kind of gone downhill. The freshmen, I thought, have stepped up nicely. And like I said, you take that build up. The first game was bad. I saw missed assignments left and right. I went on and did a podcast with Mike Yuva, and one thing we talked about was that same reason. And those freshmen, man, you're going to make mistakes, especially that young. I mean, I made mistakes, as a senior when I was playing at South Carolina. But freshmen, I mean, it's just a lot put on your shoulders, and you almost feel like don't mess up instead of just playing sometimes. And that can get you in trouble. And I think last weekend in the Missouri game, I don't know if you noticed, but the DN ran free at least 3 plays. Well, that's a missed assignment. There's no way you're just not going to block the DN. So there's still those growing pains there. But the unfortunate thing is with Lee not playing at right tackle last week, I think that hurt us a good bit because, like I said, I mean, Florida's got a pretty good defensive front, and those guys played really well in that Florida game.
For a true freshman, easier to step in right away and run block because you're just firing off the ball and hitting someone, or to pass block just because you're backing up? Which is easier?
I think it's 50-50.
Really?
I don't think there's anyone that's easier than the other. That's just my opinion and my experience of it. But the closer you get to the ball, or playing O-line or quarterback is probably the 2 hardest positions to be able to come in as a freshman and contribute right away. I mean, it's super, super tough from mental standpoint and physical standpoint. I mean, you're 18 years old, fresh out of high school, going against 22, 23-year-old grown men that have been through it.
Did you have that welcome to college moment? Do you remember that welcome to college or welcome to the SEC moment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that first camp as a freshman, and you're out there going against, especially on scout squad as a true freshman, going against like Columba Edwards, who was an All-American, just some really talented defensive linemen that we had, and the linebackers that we had during that 2001 season. I'm sure a lot of these people listening remember those guys that we had on defense. I mean, very good defenses. So it was definitely a wake-up call that first weekend.
803-404-6100. We'll get John's take really on what he's seeing with this team, how they can improve, and then we just have some other questions. Candy corn. Don't answer it right now. We need to get your take on candy corn, a few bacon questions. We're a cooking show as well as a sports show. We'll keep you updated on fair food, all kinds of stuff maybe from last week. So we'll get into all that. If you want to be a part of it, 803-404-6100. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. He's Big John Strickland. It's the early game.
Here's what's coming up on the game.
The Shane Beamer Weekly Presser, sponsored by Pete Alewine Pools and Spas. Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Bill Gunner for Zero Res. You've got carpet and air duct cleaning that you need. Well, Zero Res is the number to call. 803-262-4020. That's right, 803-262-4020. Zero Res, with their patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to keep your carpets, rugs, tile insanely clean. And of course, with Halloween parties coming up right now, you want to make sure the carpets and rugs look great. So call Zero Res, 803-262-4020, and schedule your appointment today. Or you can go online and do it with ease, ZeroResColumbia.com. carpetclean.com is how you can do that. Make sure you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game, and get 3 rooms of Carpet Clean for just $129. Again, that's 803-262-4020. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Okay, so you're a guy. You don't feel as young as you used to. You're kind of dragging. No life drive, no sex drive. You have brain fog. You're not sleeping well. All sorts of stuff is going sideways. But you don't want to talk to anybody because we're guys. There's someone you can talk to. Dr. Dan Botnight at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Because honestly, what you could be going through could simply be low testosterone. One way to find out. A free consultation at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina, 803-875-MENS, or online, themensclinicsc.com.
Plus, text entitled with approved credit call 888-320-6359 for details. Never before and maybe never again. South Carolina's Kia Giant. JT's Kia goes where no Kia dealer has gone before. Save thousands off new Kias. Save thousands in interest. 3.75% Telluride Sorrento's Carnivals. Get 20% more for your trade. Up to $6,000 more. No payments till next year. And never, ever pay more than sticker. South Carolina's Kia Giant. JT'sKia.com.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? I'm Dr. Mark Bentley with Columbia Secret for Weight Loss, and I know the secret. Our unique weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. If you'd like to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged or boxed meals, no surgery, and no hypnosis, call my office now at 803-824-4210.
Columbia's Secret for Weight Loss changed my life. I've lost over 50 pounds. Not only did I lose fat, I significantly lowered my A1C in making better choices that are sustainable. Throughout this program, the guidance and accountability help create a pathway to a healthier, better me.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month. It's a half a pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 803-824-4210. That's 803-824-4210. Or ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com.
Hi, my husband and I own a small business in Columbia, and we ended up needing some help with some tax problems that we had and needed to get resolved. We initially owed about $300,000, and John Ecton and his law firm ended up getting us an offer in compromise, which dramatically reduced the amount owed. I would personally recommend the Ecton Law Firm. They did an excellent job for us, and if this is a concern that you're facing, they're definitely the people you should call.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problem solved for good. Call today. You'll be glad you did.
1075 The Game on demand podcast menu.
Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner.
On the home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game. 1075 The Game traffic. Sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring statewide with huge pay raises. Correctional officers can now make $50,000 plus in their first year. Officers must be at least 18 years of age. Visit joinscdc.com to apply.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic on 1075 The Game.
Still a few things out there to keep an eye on this morning. Highway 1 near Pisgah Church Road. Also Hazelwood Road at Garner's Ferry. I-77 southbound at Percival Road have an accident there, and one more to let you know about, and that's I-26 westbound on exit 115, Charleston Highway. 79 today, and then, man, low to mid-80s really through Monday, so some great stretch of weather ahead. Cooler start, though, right now. It is 49. 175 The Game.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter.
Former Gamecock Preston Thorne.
And Jen Jensen, your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 1075 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
$8:16 on a Wednesday morning. Reminder coming up right here on 107.5 The Game tomorrow night. Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer. You can hear it here again on 107.5 The Game, or you can hear it in Myrtle Beach, 100.3 The Game FM down there. It'll be Shane Beamer recapping the injury situation. Maybe we'll get more of an update than yesterday when he said, oh, everybody that you'd ask me about is questionable. Everybody just questionable. And John, I'll ask you this as you look at it. Injuries are a part of the sport. It's a physical sport. It's a violent sport. But when they start to mount in the manner they have, what does it do to the psyche of the team that, like, from what you've seen?
Well, I mean, obviously I know a lot of fans. I promise you the players and coaches are disappointed in how this year's turned out. But, man, I've never seen so many injuries on a team probably ever. And it's hard to win a lot of football games, especially in this conference, with that many injuries and so many young guys with no experience playing. So makes it super tough to get wins.
Preston and I discussed a little bit this morning about injuries and how they occur. And one thing that I remember from knowing people, Jonathan Alston was a good friend of mine, was a roommate for a summer. That was a learning experience for me. But with that being said, the thing I'd always heard was Lou Holtz's preseason camps were violent, to say the least, overly physical. And Preston thought that helped y'all, especially early in the year, be physical, but also not sustain the injuries that maybe you're seeing. Now, the flip side to that, later in the year, y'all were a little bit beaten up. You were worn down. The energy, the legs weren't there quite as much. Do you think that softer preseason camps can lead to injury? This is where I wish Preston was here for you two to go back and forth on this, but
that's a good question. I think I'll tell you what, I think having a pretty hard camp, man, we used to 2-a-days, and these guys today don't know anything about that. But I think having those tough practices like we did back then possibly helped you out some. But, God, that's just, I don't know. I mean, you get pretty beat up, okay, during camp. I mean,
right.
Pretty beat up. And you always have some guys get injured, okay? Maybe it does help out because it seems like nowadays I see more injuries than I've ever seen, and especially on this football team this year. I've never seen so many injuries on any football team in all my years of keeping up with college or pro football. I mean, it kind of baffles me. Like, what are we doing wrong, or is it just terrible luck?
Well, and I think that's what you're trying to figure out. But it also seems like this occurred a little bit during the Will Muschamp era.
Yep.
And it's almost like South Carolina football has been on a run of those, to the point you go, okay, is something, you look at the strength and conditioning coach, and I like Luke Day, and I really don't understand, because I'm not in there working out for him. I don't understand how his system is necessarily or completely different than what Jeff Dillman did as compared to, say, Craig Fitzgerald, and I forget the young man who followed him afterwards. But you get the point, like, everybody's got a little bit different tweak on how they want to do their strength and conditioning program. These aren't, Amarion Brown has one, Nicky Memori got a hamstring early, but these aren't just hamstring injuries. These are like significant knee, leg injuries. And I think that's where the question arises. And I don't know, that's why I ask you about physical preseason practices, or something that maybe should change a little bit in the off-season workouts.
I mean, I think there's definitely something to it. I don't know if it's the way we're training the players, if it's practices we're going through and the style of practices the players are having, or I mean, it really is baffling. I wish I had a better answer for you, but you don't know. And there was that one year when Coach Muschamp was here that we had a lot of injuries. Actually, I think it was 2 years. And then we've had some Coach Beamer's first year. Last year we had a few ACLs, I think, on two defensive players. But other than that, last year, most part, they were pretty healthy for the most part. But this year, man, it seems like just left and right, people are just going down, and it's just hard to wrap your brain around it.
803-404-6100. Again, Justin was in. Some people say Under Armour. Yeah, but Under Armour doesn't protect your knee. Like Under Armour doesn't protect your shoulder. I'm with you. Connor Shaw had the tweet. I want to say it was a tweet way back in the day, and that's kind of what started about the Under Armour shoes. If you were having a lot of broken feet, rolled ankles, broken ankles, yeah, I could get on board with the Under Armour discussion. But when it's like significant, Mo Kaba tears his ACL. That's not an Under Armour.
Yeah,
to my knowledge,
that has nothing to do with the shoe.
Like if you want to talk about Juice Wells having a broken foot that he sustained maybe during summer workouts or something, okay,
maybe.
But again, going to it when Ja'Kai Moore, and you've played offensive line, so you're trying to block somebody and your shoulder gets hurt, not Under Armour.
Yeah.
And so that's where I push back on that a little bit. If it was a lot more feet, ankles, yes, I would be on board with that. Let's go back to the offensive line in this situation. I want your assessment of technique and fundamentals from what you're seeing, because it's, even if you're not good enough, maybe you're just beat by, you mentioned it, you're just flat beat by a really good defensive end or an interior player. What have you seen from Lonnie Teasley's group so far that you really like and how they're trying to be trained or developed?
I think Lonnie's a great coach. I love what they're trying to do. It's just, you got very inexperienced freshmen out there playing, and Tree, in my opinion, has played really well. I mean, he really has. But it seems like you got some of these other guys that don't have a whole lot of experience, and missed assignments have been really a problem. And it happened a lot during the Missouri game. I mean, guys just running free, not passing off twist.
Is there one side that you saw more of that happening, right or left?
Right.
On the right.
That's right. Yeah, 100%. It was on the right side. Now, it did happen on that 13-yard sack when we were in field goal range on the first offensive possession of the game this past weekend. They ran like a double twist stunt, and the guys just, you can tell they did not communicate and pass it off. And I think, I can't remember who it was. They just turned around and looked and knew. They're like, you could see him. It might have been Tree. He just turned around and
he's on the left. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Because,
well, this is the left side on this play. Yeah. The majority of the pressure, though, from this past weekend and the DN just running free was from the right side. There was one point you had. It was a pass pro. It was there was one play. Trey Knox was running wide open. Rattler gets sacked. It was you had the right tackle and right guard blocking the 3 technique with the DN running free with nobody there. So it was an MA on the missed assignment on the right tackle.
Is that lack of chemistry, lack of cohesiveness talk? Is that a lack of
well, really, that's just the brain lapse.
Okay.
I mean, that's just not doing your assignment, is what it is. And maybe I go back to where I said some of these guys that are playing, they're just so focused on not trying to mess up that they're messing up instead of just playing ball.
803-404-6100. I go back to that. This has been a problem now. South Carolina in the last few years has gotten better as the season has gone on. But you even go back to the East Carolina game and Shane Beamer's first year and guys just coming off the edge and running free, just missed assignments. When you look at the scheme that they have run offensively, whether it was Marcus Satterfield or now, does it seem complicated to you for what you're asking the offensive line to do? Or how complicated can an offensive line scheme be to go along with the offensive play calling?
Yeah, I think this year's offense, I actually really like it. It seems way less complicated. There's way less personnel. If anybody kind of really knows football, the personnel has been way less personnel of having guys in and out and, all this different stuff going on. So this offense is a little more simplified than what we've had in the past. So I actually really like the offense. I like what Dow Loggins is doing. And it's allowed Spencer to have some really good moments so far this year. And, I mean, he's playing great. Just think if you could keep him off his back so much, who knows what, could be so far this year. But like I said, the injuries have taken a toll. But
well, and, again, Xavier Legette has stepped up as you would want, but not having Juice Wells. We saw Juice Wells really be healthy for one play, and the dynamic that he can bring to that offense. There was obviously a few moves on that 3rd and 16, and unfortunately, Shane Beamer was saying yesterday maybe he'll be back. I tend to think that when it's a foot situation, whether he wants to go to the NFL or whatever, again, that's one maybe you do look at Under Armour a little bit more. But again, when it's a foot situation, John, I think you have to let that heal as much as possible, not even push it.
Yeah, I think you don't see him this year and you see him back here next year.
There seems to be some people leaning toward that. We'll continue to watch and talk about that. We'll get into some memories from John Strickland. I always like hearing Preston's memories, some of the guys you went against.
Good times.
Some of the things, obviously, 2 really good years and then 2 kind of rough years. We'll talk a little bit about that with John Strickland. You're listening to Bill Gunner, John Strickland, and Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
The game will be at the beach, in the PD, and the Midlands. That almost covers the whole Palmetto State. In Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Did you know that since 2002, more than 2.4 million lottery-funded scholarships such as Life Hope and Palmetto Fellow scholarships have been awarded to South Carolina students? Playing for fun is a win for education. Visit saeducationlottery.com/educationwins for more info.
Plus, text entitled with approved credit card 866-243-4623 for details. Never before and maybe never again. South Carolina's truck giant, Dodge Land on Greystone, is taking up to $12,000 off new Rams. Quad cab, crew cab, heavy duty, big trucks, big savings. And where can you get up to 20% more for your trade? South Carolina's truck giant, up to $6,000 more. Don't wait. This has never happened before and maybe will never happen again. $12,000 off new Rams at Dodge Land on Greystone, jtsdodge.com.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? I'm Dr. Mark Bentley with Columbia Secret for Weight Loss, and I know the secret. Our unique weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. If you'd like to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged or boxed meals, no surgery, and no hypnosis, call my office now at 803-824-4210.
Hi, I'm Erica, and if you want to lose weight and fix your metabolism, then this is the program for you. I'm down 30 pounds in 7 weeks. My metabolism is alive again, and I feel great. This system will not let you down.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month. That's a half a pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 803-824-4210. That's 803-824-4210. Or ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com.
There's no better place to be on a fall Saturday than at Williams-Brice Stadium. Secure your tickets today to catch a game this fall. Visit thegamecockclub.com for more information. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game.
Hi, my name is John, and I'm self-employed, and we got sidetracked on our taxes at the 2008 recession, and it became a monster that we couldn't tackle ourselves. We heard about the Ecton Law Firm on the radio and contacted John. If you could classify someone as a miracle worker, I would put him at the top of the list because he took our problem and resolved it for us with our not only our unpaid taxes, but our unfiled tax returns from previous years. And I would highly recommend the Ecton Law Firm.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problem solved for good. Call today. You'll be glad you did.
It's Jen for CHW Cabinetry, and we had that flood back in December. Hard to believe I'm still talking about it, but it's taken that long to get everything put back together in our house. And the entire kitchen had to be gutted, replaced all of the kitchen cabinets, and it sure seemed like a daunting task, I can tell you. But we had a friend say, hey, go check out CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. They're a women-owned business, locally owned business, and I have to say, they have been amazing. Their photorealistic renderings help show us exactly what the kitchen would look like once we had decided what we wanted the layout to be. And it was like a picture of our kitchen to help us figure out how to pick out everything else that had to be replaced. So the cabinets were installed, thrilled with that whole process. And I'm telling you, if you're looking for cabinets for your home, inside or even outdoor cabinets, Visit chwcabinetry.com for more information or call them 803-520-6837. 6837. Make sure to tell them Jen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
Gotta take.
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line.
Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen.
803-404-6100.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game. 1075 The Game traffic. Sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring statewide with huge pay raises. Correctional officers can now make $50,000 plus in their first year. Officers must be at least 18 years of age. Visit joinscdc.com to apply.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic on 107.5 The Game.
2 left lanes are currently blocked. I-26 eastbound there at exit 119. I-77 southbound at exit 15, that would be Percival Road. The right lane is blocked. Have an accident Hazelwood Road at Garner's Ferry. Also Old Cherokee at Old Chapin Road in Lexington. And I-26 westbound there at Charleston Highway, exit 115. So do be careful out there this morning. Looking for a high today of 79 and that overnight low of 54. Then we're in the 80s really through Monday. Right now, 51 on the early game.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
On your home of the Gamecocks. In Columbia, 1075 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
.833 on a Wednesday morning. John Strickland, former Gamecock offensive lineman, sitting in with us and helping break down what's going on with this particular team. But let's go back to your day. I always laugh with Preston. I mentioned to you, Jonathan Alston was a roommate of mine, line mate with you, teammate there. Johnny A, yeah, big dude. I was telling John Strickland off air about rooming with John Alston. I would, during the summer, he lived with me during the summer, and I would go to 5 Points and enjoy my summer night. They were having it was a book reading group. It's a long story.
And you laughed at them as you walked by to the bar?
I think there was a place called the Library, and I'd go. I was very naive and confused.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was kind of like Book It. Or
I would recommend
you drink 6 drinks.
John roll up his pants at this point because it's going to get a little deep in there.
But I would come back at 2 a.m. when everything closed. We play PlayStation, buddy and I, till about 3, and then I'd go to bed, and John Alston would come in at like 6:30, 7 o'clock from a workout because he was 6'5", 6'6", and I'm 5'5", 5'6", on a good day 5'7" if I want to lie. He would kick in my door and tell me, "Get up, we're having breakfast," and there was really nothing I could do. And but there was interesting times with the group you played with.
Yeah, Johnny A, man. I mean, that's my guy. I was center, he was right guard, and we had some fun years together during our time.
What's going on now? And I want you to kind of relate back because you mentioned fun times, but there was 2 very difficult years there where y'all got off to great starts, and it was you were 5-2, 1 game away from bowl eligibility, but then things kind of went downhill. What do you remember, and how do you equate that to what's going on now? Because this is obviously right now 3-game losing streak for South Carolina with Tennessee, Florida, and now this loss to Missouri. You got a tough one on the road. You got to go back out to Texas A&M. Walk me in that kind of mindset of a player, of a locker room, of a relationship with players and coaches at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Just going back to that 2004 season, my senior year, we started out hot. Lost that Georgia game. Shouldn't even have lost that. Literally easy to be undefeated. 6-0. It looked like if you got that Georgia game, but once you start that little slide, I mean, it hurts. I mean, but players know what's going on. These guys know. I mean, they're not giving up. They're working their butts off because they want to win football games. But they know all the injuries have a toll,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe some of the young guys, true freshmen, are a little naive to it. But I mean, the older guys, Spencer, man, he knows. He's just, what can I do? I just got to keep lifting these guys up, be the leader of the team, and get the most I can get out of everybody. But it's tough when I'd say going into the preseason when this team was healthy, I think they're a very good team. I thought we'd have some shaky moments on defense, but I thought the offense was just going to be awesome with all the players around Spencer. But injuries have taken their toll, and it's kind of resulted in where we're at.
Let's flip on that a little bit. You mentioned you thought might be some shaky moments on defense. Obviously that's an understatement as to what we've seen this weekend. You give up a career high rushing to Missouri and Cody Strader. Obviously, what happened with Graham Mertz and Will Rogers being able to throw the football around. What do you see as the biggest issue? Because a few weeks ago, Preston and I and Jamie Bradford from down in Charleston had debate on talent versus scheme versus play call. You see all those things go into it. But what do you see as right now the biggest issue?
Depth. That's the biggest issue. I mean, you got guys playing way too many plays, and the coaches know it too, but what are they going to do? I guess you could throw like some other true freshmen out there and just see if they can, grasp everything in the big moments. But I think the injuries and the depth are a big issue. To be honest with you, I thought the defense played very well the second half of the Missouri game. Made the adjustments, came out, held that Missouri offense that's been scoring a ton of points to 10 points?
Mm-hmm.
I think we held them to 10. So I actually thought they played really well in the second half. But I think we had, you had Nick Iamori playing nickelback instead of safety. I didn't like that. Got us beat during the Florida game. I think we were putting players in bad positions, but we were having to put players in bad positions because we don't have the depth. You got so many guys injured. You lost a lot of good players off of last year's defense. So, it's really just a combination of you got a bunch of young guys playing and you got a bunch of injuries. That's how I see it. I don't know that it's necessarily a bad scheme or anything like that. I know, something's not going right. Everybody wants to blame the coaches, and rightfully so. But, I'll say it again. This team has had so many injuries. It is hard to win football games with a bunch of freshman players in the SEC.
Well, going back to your point and going back to the offensive line, the offensive side of things, Shane Beamer's talked about it. You walk past the training room, you see what you thought when you draw up your depth chart probably in January is your starting tackles, Jalen Nichols and Kason Henry, sitting in there getting rehab, and you're hoping to get Kason Henry now at least questionable for this week. You see Ja'Kai Moore in there with a shoulder injury. You see Marquis Anderson, another freshman.
Marquis was going to play too. Okay, trust me on that. He's a dude. He's a real deal.
That's another point because it's hard. I think it's real hard for Gamecock fans to look past what's happening, and understandably so, because we tend to live in the moment the majority of the time. The offensive line recruiting does look like it's getting better. I like Marquis. Dustin Curtis, as former coach at Dorman, raves about him. Dustin now at Lexington, obviously, but raves about him. Travon Ball has gotten in there and performed very well this year. Again, we see Big Tree Babalade. Now, I'm interested to see Cam Pringle, Josiah Thompson next year, but you've got a young core of offensive linemen. And the next step, John, is building that core on the defensive line too.
Yeah, the defensive line has been kind of underwhelming this year. We're not getting the pressure on the quarterback that we have come accustomed to see here at South Carolina over the years, especially, the past 20 years plus. We've always had really good defensive ends that could just put pressure on the quarterback, and it hasn't worked out this year. So that's been a little underwhelming, and that's been an issue too with giving up all these yards when you got a quarterback who can sit back in the pocket all day and just wait for guys to get open. I mean, it makes it a whole lot easier.
Both lines of scrimmage, from what you've seen, you mentioned that. And again, I'm not trying to knock Luke Day, but I want your opinion as someone who's been there and done it. Are they physical enough? Are they strong enough from what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I say our defensive tackles, a couple of the guys haven't had the year you would hope they would have this year, but man, TJ Sanders, he's just been a man-child and a problem for defenses, but obviously he can't do everything by himself. But I think the physicality of the O-line's been fine. I just really think it comes back to limited depth, tons of injuries on the offensive line has really caused a lot of issues for this team. And I mean, linebacker has just, some of those young guys haven't come along as much as you want to. And I mean, Stone Blanton's still a young guy. Everybody needs to remember that. I mean, he's only been here for a year. So, and he's out there playing, 70, 80 plays, and Debo's out there playing literally just about every snap. And after, when it hits the fourth quarter, man, you're just beat. I mean, you're worn out.
803-404-6100 if you want to get in on anything that John's saying. So now we have to ask you the serious question of the early game that Preston and I have debated. Jen gets involved in. Where do you stand with less than a week to go till Halloween? Candy corn, delicious candy snack, or needs to be thrown in the garbage?
So I actually like it. I don't eat it often. I will eat it, I guess, the Halloween, Thanksgiving, if somebody's, got it out in their little petri dish, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm not going out of my way to eat it, but I'm not throwing it in trash. I'll definitely have some.
It's good. See, I enjoy the candy corn. Preston, Jen, they'd rather throw it. They follow that little step process of open the bag, dump it in the trash, eat a Reese's.
Yeah.
Jen brought me some candy corn not too long ago. Was kind of nice. 803-404-6100. We'll get into a few other things. One more segment to go. John Strickland sitting in with us this morning. You're listening to the early game.
Here's what's coming up on the game.
Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer, live from Backstreet Grill in Columbia, Thursday at 6 p.m.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
This is Boomer Science with CBS Sports Minute. Bill Belichick earned my first game ball for career win number 300 and upset of Buffalo. And Kirk Cousins was a gutsy quarterback on Monday night against San Francisco for sure. Travis Kelce, A.J. Brown, and Jordan Addison garnered pass-catching game balls, while Deonta Foreman was my running back of the week. And on defense, Jags linebacker Foyesade Oluokun and Myles Garrett were game changers. Boy, were they. I'm Boomer Science. CBS Sports Radio.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Clogged, overflowing gutters can cost thousands of dollars in damage to your home's foundation. Canty Foundation can replace your gutters and save you money.
Canty installs gutter shutter.
Call us today for your free inspection.
Canty can fix it.
Having a reliable gutter system is essential to protecting your home's interior and exterior. Heavy rain can unleash gallons of water onto your home, and poorly maintained or leaky gutters could lead to roofing, siding, and water damage that is expensive to repair or replace. Online at cantygutters.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, QuietTech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Lowe's knows how to save pros time and money. Right now, get a DeWalt 20-volt max brushless drill kit. Was $159, now just $99. That's a savings of $60. And there's more. Earn 3 times the bonus points on Carhartt workwear. Because Lowe's knows savings, Lowe's knows pros. DeWalt offer valid 10/19 through 1/31. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 10/27. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. And with the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like Certainty and Landmark Pro, right at my fingertips. And now through November, purchase Certainty with Beacon Pro Plus, web or app, and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
With Bill Gunter, former Gamecock Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
$8:47 as we wrap it up here on a Wednesday morning. John Strickland filling in for Preston Thorne. We'll get you back in, let you and Preston get more football, sporty sports talk going on, discussion here as we talk about it. Also, we are a foodie show, and Tiger Hater weighs in on our Firehouse Subs text line. Candy corn and peanuts mixed together equals a delicious treat.
Yeah, I've done that before. Actually, it's funny. My wife, she puts peanuts and candy corn before in a dish out during Halloween.
Okay.
So it's actually pretty good.
Okay, because now I've done the peanuts and M&Ms.
Yes.
You know,
Also-
especially the Redskin peanuts. That makes it even better. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
well, that way it's balanced. It's better for you because it's protein with the carbohydrate. So really, you're balancing it out. It's much better for
Now,
you.
do you throw in you don't throw in the raisins? Because, we go play golf tournaments. There's a purple pack. I don't know what it is, a little pack, little snack pack.
Oh yeah, like a little.
And it's got I think they're what is it? Generic chocolate candies. So they're like
Right.
M&Ms.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But that's just that.
Trail
Kind of
type
like a
mix.
trail mix. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you got the peanuts, the sunflower seeds, the M&Ms, and then they'll have raisins in there. And that's,
Didn't they call something like that gorp?
I have no
Ever heard
idea.
that word? I
Yeah,
think that's a Midwest thing.
No clue.
Couldn't answer that one.
Yeah, there you go.
I get back to me on that. Do some research.
Preston loves depth charts for some reason. Preston's a depth chart guy. So I have to ask you, even though it just wrapped up, depth chart, top 3, your depth chart, first team, second team, third team, fair food.
Oh, man.
We
Turkey-
only got about 5 minutes left.
Turkey legs, number 1. Smoked turkey leg, corn dog, and then just some kind of off the wall, maybe like a fried dessert of any kind, something like that.
You didn't get into the what was it? The glazed hot dog, the donut hot dog.
I don't know about a hot dog. I did see the glazed donut cheeseburger, bacon cheeseburger.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, I missed that.
I mean,
Does that come with a cardiologist?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
did
no
they just the
kidding.
cardiologist serves it to you and then stands there?
The pizza on a stick looked good. That concept.
Somebody had hit us up with that. I think it was Emily maybe last week that hit us
Okay.
up with that.
Yeah, you
And-
take a slice of pizza, don't they dip it in batter and then fry it?
And put it like over, I think on the stick they put, mozzarella cheese and the sauce or peanut butter, something, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I
That's
should have investigated deeper, so I failed everybody.
we are
sorry.
again while a sports show, a foodie show as well.
But does candy corn and corn dogs really qualify as foodie?
Yes.
Okay.
It's candy corn is a very
Smoked turkey legs.
Oh, listen, that
Yeah.
that might be the plan for this weekend because no home game. My son has no soccer. I can enjoy a Saturday, multiple games. You got South Carolina at noon. You got Clemson at 2. I think you got is Georgia Florida this week? Now I'm trying to think. Georgia
Yeah, it
Florida
is.
is this
It
week.
is.
I've not really broke down
All my family are Georgia fans.
Oh, okay.
I have to put up with that.
Yeah, as I glance very quickly, Duke, Louisville, Utah, Oregon. Big thoughts real quick about 4 minutes as you've watched college football this year. What are your thoughts on college football as a whole?
I mean, I think it's been a pretty competitive year. I think it's Georgia and Michigan are kind of my top two teams that I've been able to watch this year. I think Alabama is kind of taking a hold of the West when it looked like it might be shaky earlier. And I don't see Georgia losing a game in the regular season this year.
Really?
Yeah. Even with Bowers out, I think they beat Florida by at least 3 scores this weekend. Then they still have Missouri left.
That's the one. I brought this up on Monday because I don't know how good Missouri's really going to end up being. But
is that game at Missouri or Athens?
The game is in Athens, and then Tennessee has to go because Missouri still has Georgia and Tennessee left.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Tennessee.
You think Missouri takes down Tennessee?
No, I think that'll be a great game between those two. I'm just Georgia's not going to lose a game.
Okay,
they're not.
One thing I've liked is it feels like we have far more parity. There's not the dominant team that's out there. I've liked this. If you look through the rankings, I think there's about 12 or 13 teams if they can find their way into the college football playoff can win 2 games and
Dude, I do not disagree with that. I mean, because obviously you've seen Georgia have a lot closer games this year than they have in past years. Just speaking of them because they're still the 2-time champ, so that's kind of what you set the standard at. But yeah, and I think Alabama has not separated them like in other years past. So I think the games this year have been pretty competitive of these top tier teams that you're seeing. So I do agree with you on that.
Real quick, about 2 minutes left. Sign stealing. Have you followed this story from Michigan? And,
Yes.
and as a football player, as an offensive lineman, your take?
It happens. Probably more than you know. Actually, I know for a fact it happens. I mean,
Well,
listen,
we talked about it. Eric Kimry back in
Kimry laid it all out. I mean, me and Kimry, I had a great conversation with Kimry about it before, and he's the one that kind of told me, he's like, yeah, it's strict. I mean, it happens all the time.
I don't think it's a matter of happening. That's part of the game. It's sending people to other people's stadiums to study the coaches.
Now
right?
that's a little off the wall, which I did see that come out. What guys been bought tickets, through his Venmo, sending money and
sending people
going to games and watching it. That's the I have heard of stuff like that happening before, but the sign stealing though, when you're just and you're up there in the press box, the coaches, assistant coaches, you're trying to read everything that other team's doing, from the coaches on the sideline calling them plays to what the actual play is, and you're just trying to piece it together.
It's an interesting story to continue to develop. Appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
We'll get you and Preston. Yeah, we can get you and Preston together here in the next week or two. You just had a little miscommunication, but look forward to having you back and letting you and Preston. He gets the football hands going, and we'll let both of you do it. And I'll just sit over here as I did with Pat DeMarco and Preston a few weeks ago.
Sounds good, man.
Appreciate everybody being a part of the program. We'll be back tomorrow morning. For Jen, for Preston, I'm Bill Gunner. It's been the early game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet.
Basketball. I will allow you. Y'all have a good day. Take care.